Maxie,
What up? We're back.
You look exactly the same as when I left you.
Yeah, I've been trying to lose some weight, you know? As some of you may know, I'm now in a relationship, have been for what? Over 1.5 years. And it's starting to weigh on me, you know? I heard about this stuff from I was watching Instagram and they said that relationship weight is a thing. So
Oh, I would
yeah.
know about that. I would.
Yeah, you wouldn't know about that. Yeah.
I work
turns
hard to
out-
keep this shape.
Yeah.
You know, rodeo barrel, it's a shape. That's what
It
I
is a
work
shape, you know? Yeah.
You know? All right, Max. Well, we are back. It's been quite a time. Let's just, I say we just get right into it. And let's get recording because people have been asking when the next podcast says, you know what, we actually have so much to talk about that we're going to do 2 because that's how much we have to talk about. So with that said, let's drop our intro.
Nitro is the glory,
but e-buggy pays the bills. Welcome to the No Name RC podcast. Get ready for some serious bench racing. But be warned, we speak our minds, express our thoughts, and sometimes things can get a little rowdy.
Hate, and he just was influenced by the hate coming from the left, the hate coming from the right.
And let's get back to more club racing and less of this grabbing racing.
It's hard not to be arrogant when you're always right. You know?
See what I mean? That's exactly why people call you arrogant, Max.
You may not agree with everything we say, but it's definitely worth a listen.
And our pick, can you stop whatever you're doing?
Join your host, Lefty the Great, with co-hosts and guests as they get together to chat RC.
Hey, after that race that I watched this morning, I have to talk about it.
Here we go. $100 right here, $100 throw. Oh no! I like this.
Yes, indeed. Nitro's the glory, but e-buggy pays the bills. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode number 263 of the No Name RC podcast. I'm your host, Keno White, aka Lefty the Great. And over to my virtual left is the arrogant one, professor of everything, pisser off of nations, and admitted a mistake, actually, a while back. So, he is human after all. The great one, Maximus Mortimus. What's up, Maxie?
I'm good. I've been kind of like missing this. I kind of almost, forgot we are podcasters, It's been so long. It's like when I joined the studio, like it read AMS next on your, where I have the professor of everything. Like you had AMS next.
Yes.
AMS was like a month ago,
5 weeks ago.
So that's the last time it was on here. So.
I actually think this was the longest break that I've had from the podcast in 5 years since it started.
Yeah, but luckily you had all kinds of old podcasts to put out and people to comment that, oh my god, how can you say this?
Oh yeah, we're remastering some podcasts that I've done audio only and putting them up that aren't on YouTube because the goal is to have all of these podcasts on YouTube at the end of the day. So I've got a few more to do. We did drop almost a 7-hour podcast before I left, which is actually really popular with Ryan Stiles Harris. It's almost up to 4,000 views on YouTube and about 4,000 on the audio only. So it's a very popular podcast. So thank you to him. I got to hang out with him a little bit in Florida at the Florida RC Championships. With that said, Max, let's say our thank yous to all of our sponsors. This is probably one of our second to last recorded show of the year. And I want to thank all of these sponsors for supporting or companies supporting the No Name RC podcast over the last year of 2023. They are obviously invisiblespeed.net, High Tech RC, Some Pedal USA, Sidewinder Fuel, Hot Race Tires, Mayako, Beach RC, Techno RC, Clinic RC, Ignite Design RC, bringing gas trucks back, Stacked RC, Donovan RC, Racecraft USA. Shout out, obviously, to the Florida RC Championships, WRCE, now Elite RC Productions. I'll touch a little bit on that a little bit more. Shout out to my boy Gene Strout Jr. If you want to get any cars built or anything built, check him out. House of RC, obviously RCGP, and our drivers, David Ronnefolk, Jared Tebow, Robert Battier, Alexander Hagberg, and now newly inducted into our drivers is Mexico's favorite stock racer, Maddie Gonzalez, who actually got a new job. And we need to talk about that as well. Thank you to all of those companies. Thank you to all of you out there that support the podcast over there. Thank you to the patrons and YouTube members as well. If you wish to support this podcast a little bit more, you can. There's links for the patron and YouTube membership. You will get early access, and we'll have some patron YouTube giveaways coming up soon. We thank all of you for everything that you've supported us with, and we greatly appreciate it over the last year. If you are a company and you think this is a great platform, you want to advertise on this podcast, hit me up. We are looking for companies going into next year, and there will be a limit. I think we're going to limit it to a certain supply, a certain number. And I know a lot of these companies are coming back, so I'm also thankful about that. If you can help, if you really want to help the podcast, there are links in the written description of this podcast. We have affiliate links, we have coupon codes, and we just have links to these companies. If you purchase anything from them, please just say, hey, we heard about you on the No Name RC podcast. All right, Max, real quick, I wanted to shout out. I know I don't have much birthdays. It's been a long time. I missed so many birthdays, but one that stunned out was Elliot Boots' dad, Chris Boots, who I've become pretty good friends with. Happy birthday to him. He's a fiery gentleman when it comes to RC, and he don't take no shit, and I like it. He's me and him, when I've seen him at races, I've talked to him. I always treat him with respect. Say, hey, Mr. Boots, and we have a conversation when I've seen him. So shout out to him. Happy birthday to him. Also, in somber news, well, not somber news, but I want people to bring some attention to this. My friend at Alcon Models, which is Fifth Scale Cars, he sent this to me. One of their drivers a fifth scale driver down in Australia, Mr. Callan. Let me see. I've got to get his name, but he is actually suffering through cancer at the moment, and they have started a GoFundMe to help just with the medical fees, right? So a beautiful Northern Gold Coast family has been enduring through a rough patch of late and need our support. Callan Gunn, father to Jane and Stella 10 and Harper 7, and beloved husband of Andrea, local business owner, avid wakeboarder, and Australian RC champion and enthusiast, has been battling non-Hodgkin's peripheral T-cell lymphomas since 2022. To date, Kyle has had chemotherapy, radiotherapy, and stem cell therapy. Many of this may seem a world away, but for an amazing young family, this has unfortunately become the norm, battling disease. So, unfortunately, this gentleman was diagnosed with this. They've raised almost 32,000. They've raised over 32,000 Australian dollars. I'm not sure how much that shakes out into dollars, but if you guys can, there is a GoFund for him. Let's help out one of our RC family, and if we can help out and make that family a little bit actually, you have it up there. So good chat. Good stuff. There's Mr. Callan, and I hope that this, he has a beautiful young family there, and I hope that it works out for them, and they find something, and people help him out, because cancer sucks. Fuck cancer. And yeah, thank you to everybody that supported that. That's really good to see. It's always good to help out our RC community any way that we can. So I wish him all the best, and please, I'll leave a link for this in the written description of this podcast. All right, Max. So as I was saying, we have so much to talk about that we have decided not to do a 7. And people are like, what are you going to do? Like a 24-hour podcast, or a 10-hour podcast this time? So no, 7 hours or 6 hours and 51 minutes, just short of 7 hours, was a bit long. But we had a lot to talk about that day. So I believe that we are going to split this podcast up into two shows. So this is 263. Obviously, the next one is 264. Also, we'll have our annual live Christmas show next week, Thursday, at around 4 p.m. EST. We're doing it a little bit early. If it's going to be myself, JQ, you're going to be on vacation, but you're going to be helping to produce. And we're doing it early because we're going to get the Europeans involved. We have a couple European prizes. We have a couple of companies. We have a few companies that have stepped up to give prizes. We have Sampadal USA, who's giving some batteries, who are also the distributors. Hefty is the distributor of Corsatek, so he's throwing in a Corsatek engine and pipe combo as well to raffle off. JQ is giving something away, Invisible Sea course and a book, I believe. Donovan RC has stepped up with some custom needs. Techno has given me some gift certificates. Who else? Hot Race is giving me some tires for Europe as well as USA. Call RC, thank you to Call RC. We're starting a new partnership as well going into 2024. So they'll be advertising. We're supposed to have their buddy Mike want to discuss it, but I'm gonna have a live before the end of the year. Lefty off the record, I'll have him on that. But we have some cool stuff from Call RC. I'm hoping I get this before next Thursday so I can show you guys. And I got some gifts from Call RC. They stepped up. And if I'm missing somebody, I don't know, but I have to reach out to a few more companies within the podcast to see if they want to give away some stuff. I got to hit up Clinic RC. High Tech, I'm waiting for an answer back from them because I think they're going on vacation. And yeah, if you're a company that wants to donate something to the giveaway of next week, it gives away to our followers, our supporters. Obviously, I also have a patron YouTube member only one as well. I will say that most of this is for America. So if you do win it in Europe, if you're willing to pay for shipping, you can get it. I am going to have a few Europe-based ones. I got to hit up Andrew Rennick of that Rennick Model 2 and see if he can help me out with something as well as he did last year. Shout out to them. So that's going to happen. And then we'll have one more Lefties off the record, probably after Christmas. And then actually, well, I'm on the road again. So, but we'll talk about that in a second. Max, real quick. And what have you been up to? You're out of school right now for vacation, right?
Well, not necessarily. I still have some stuff to do, but all of it is just returning stuff. So I'll be leaving tomorrow to go to Northern Finland, go ski a little bit, hang out with my parents and my girlfriend's parents, and spend the holidays over there. And then, yeah, that's kind of my plan for the next week. So today is to push out whole day of podcasting and then try to enjoy. But so far just school. I've been doing some designing and
you're working on that truggy, right?
Yeah, I've been working on that truggy. It's coming along pretty well. We should be having some stuff for our MPC members hopefully next year. So
there were quite a few at AMS when I went there. So that was good. I got to see them.
Yeah, it's been a great project so far. I think it's been sort of nice to have people getting more involved because I think in current RC scene, like so many people are making their own parts, modifications on their own, but then the manufacturer usually they maybe steal a bit from there or take that and then release it on their own, but like it's never really any credit, it's never really any contact. It's kind of like some of the top drivers sees it, like thinks it's a good idea, tells the manufacturer. But I think here it's pretty cool because like people can actually have input and be part of it. But yeah, mostly just school. That's my life these days.
Awesome. I mean, it's something important, right? School is important, and it's something you want to do, so you have to do it. Yeah. All right. So I just wanted to reiterate, thank you to all of those companies that are donating. Remember, our Christmas show will be next Thursday, 4:00 EST, more or less. I'll confirm. I'll have a banner up and all that good stuff. So obviously, I got home Monday at 5 a.m. Concluded a pretty much almost 5 weeks in America, which was exceptionally fun. I had fun. I'm not gonna lie, it was a lot of work. We had very little time done. It was like race after race after race. I maybe got 3 to 4 days off in total at that whole time where I wasn't at a race. I just wanted to say thank you to, first off, I wanted to say thank you to Lance McDonald for all his help doing that. Obviously, we're staying in his camper. And then I was staying at his house with his wife and his dogs, and they treated me very nice. And his dogs like me so much, except Nugget. But Nugget doesn't really like anybody. He's one of them golden doodles. He's very poodle-like. So he's super tall, but great dogs. Obviously, I was traveling around with Danny Paz, Gene Strout Jr., and Patrick Rossiter, and and Lance. We are now the Elite RC Productions team. That's a company that we have formed, and obviously we're going around. We're doing the productions of these races, but we're also looking at other things. Even if the problem is we want to do a lot, but it's we got to take everything in stages. Right now it's the production. We might be doing. We're planning on doing some other things as well. We want to get a website up, all that type of stuff. So basically, we're trying to be like that. We're trying to fill that void and have a proper USA world as well, but mostly focus on USA because obviously that's where we're going to be. News site type of thing as well. We're talking about doing a virtual series. I want to do the race time events. We have to get permission for that and all that type of stuff. But yeah, we kind of want to pick some races, make a virtual series, start it off from the year. I want to anyway, kind of like what we did with the NNRC Cup, right? But we have so many other things going. But yeah, Elite RC Productions is up and running. It's us 5. And we make a great team. I had a lot of fun with them. I wanted to say thank you to all those guys for just helping me, having a great time with us all together. And I greatly appreciate that support. Secondly, and firstly, also, I should have said this first, but thank you to all the people that make this happen. With these waffles that people support. You don't have to do it, but they do. We just concluded one with J Concepts Tire Lot, and then we just sold out another one with the Race Time Entertainment special package where you get as many, you got free entries and you get special practice stuff and all that type of goodness. Thank you to everybody that has supported these waffles over the last year. It has become, that money has gone 100% into, if it wasn't for those waffles, I wouldn't be going to these races. Right. And it has allowed me to as well become a commentator. It's allowed me to go to races and meet people that support me, allowed to be a part of the team, which I really enjoy. And honestly, this has been a very exceptional 2023. I counted 17 events that I went to in total this year, including Carpet Nationals, where I just stopped and ended up doing some interviews. But I did not, if you would have told me at the beginning of 2023, I would have been flying so much. I would have said, no, you're crazy. 2024 is looking to be even more so. In fact, I am out of her January 3rd. I go to Beast of the East. Shout out to them. See everybody at Beast of the East. That's going to be the first big indoor race on the East Coast. SIC and then Florida RC Championships. I'm taking I'm probably taking February off, but there's some talk about me going to South Africa as well to the Zart Watch track. I was talking to a gentleman about that. I have to reconnect with him. March, I know a lot of people say, are you going to, I don't think I'm going to DNC unless I got a call to go to DNC, but I think I'm just going to take it easy because I'm going to IBC. I was just talking to Mr. Duras yesterday, and I have to look for tickets for that. And then it's like, I think from March until who knows, man, it's going to be busy, right? So we have a lot of things cooking in the fire. I do apologize to everybody that we were gone for 5 weeks, but to be honest, to find the time and place to record would have been very difficult on this trip. So that's the downside, right? Going on these trips, they're good because I come back and I'm able to, I'm really not trying to go for 5 weeks again. 2 weeks at the most, maybe a 3 week stretch or just under 3 weeks, maybe. But it's just been exceptional. I want to thank everybody. It's truly been an honor to be a part of the Florida RC Championships. Been an honor to be part of Wicked Weekend and all these races, going to Mark Moon's races, Brent's races at Pro-Am and Lake Waccamaw, Masters of Dirt, going to the Florida Carpet Championships as well twice. That was really exceptional. The 12 scale worlds and all the other races, the nationals this year, PMB, IBC, all that. I mean, it's just been great. And meeting new people, meeting supporters and friends, making new friends, all that type of stuff. It has been an exceptional year of that for me. And I want to thank everybody out there that supports the No Name RC podcast and supports me and what we're doing, what I'm doing with the commentary and Elite RC Productions, what we're doing here on the podcast, because none of that is possible without that support. Right. So thank you. I appreciate it. And we're looking forward to 2024. I have missed recording, so I'm happy to be recording. We're here. I had a blast. So just so people know, I went to AMS. Then it was Florida Carpet Championships, which was a quick turnaround. Then it was Callan Florida RC Championships, their last round, which was great. We had Thanksgiving dinner. It was exceptional. Then it was Brent's Race, Fall Brawl, Lake Waccamaw. Then obviously this last weekend, I was at the 12 Scale Worlds at Beachline RC Raceway. And today we will talk about the 12 Scale Worlds, AMS, and Florida Carpet Championships. In the next podcast that releases, we'll talk about, we have it's so many races out there to talk about and stuff like that. There's so much news, silly season news to talk about. We have to play catch up and all that stuff. So that's why we're splitting this up into 2 podcasts and all that good stuff. So thank you, everybody. I greatly appreciate it. I got to meet so many people. Thank you. One love. I love you all. Thank you. So thank you. All right, Max. With that said, I do have a mail call. This came in while I was away, and it's going to be a new partnership as well going into 2023. This person reached out to me. And while I say that, let me switch over my cameras and get ready for this and make some space on my desk because, we're getting all fancy here. At the NNRC. All right. So you see, we're getting all fancy here at the NNRC. We got other cameras set up now. I don't know. I got inspired. So just before I was flying out of her, Mark Santamaria, who's been on this podcast a few times, and obviously you know who Mark Santamaria is, of Mark Santamaria, his YouTube channel. Great dude. He has been into RC for many years. His YouTube channel is booming. It's a lot of bashing stuff and reviews and stuff. But he's also a racer, and I believe in his mission. We've become good friends over the years. And his mission is, I want to make cool RC content, grow RC racing, and bring bashers over to RC. So recently, Mark, this year, he took over the RC Box Club that Brent, well, I wouldn't say he took over, but he partnered with Brent from Beach RC for the RC Box Club, which Brent started a couple years ago. And I know Brent, he's always so busy. So it's very hard with something like that to focus on it. So Mark and his wife partnered up with Brent, and they have taken it over. And I'm pretty sure he's been killing it with him and his viewers as well, because he has his YouTube channel is like 100,000 plus viewers. So he has been killing it with that. So he reached out. He said, "Hey, Lefty, I want to send you a RC Box Club, specially catered to the NNRC, and I'm going to send you one every couple of months. I'm not getting one every month, but I just want you to check it out and do something." So I decided I'll do unboxing here, a mail call, which I'm going to do, and he's not giving this particular box, but one of our gifts, one of our prizes next week is a My RC box, just 1 month thing. Box is not a full year subscription. So for those, let's open this while I'm talking. So those of you who don't know, the RC Box Club is basically a subscription based thing. I've seen it in other I hope I'm not cutting up the box that's in her. I've seen it in other platforms, other types of industries. And I know when Brent started it, the idea was you have a box, you pay a subscription monthly, and you will get a box full of stuff every month. And it will be stuff that you can use, right? So let me just see. I know Mark left. He said this was a special box. He says not every box comes like this. So this actually came. Let me get that out of the way. This actually came when. So let's see. There we go. That's a cool box right there. This actually came while I was in America, and I didn't have a chance to do anything till I got to America, got home. So I wanted to unbox it, do a mail call here, and let's see what's inside of it, Max. All right, so we have this little box. This is actually jam-packed. So first off the bat, we have some ultimate oils. Ooh, look, we have some good oils. I need these raid oils too. 100K. I need that for my monster truck, my Techno MT monster truck. So we have some ultimate oils. As you can see, let's see up there on our second camera. Let's put that over to the side. We have a Nitro Pro. I don't know what this is. Hold on, let me open this up. Nitro Pro Drew Singer, Dean Lloyd, and all those guys making servers, batteries, fuel. I know they partnered up with Mark Santa Maria. Hold on, let me open this up. I think this is a flag. Hold on. I know I got a mess here. Oh no, it's a towel. Oh, okay. It's like a little towel. Okay, so that's cool. Nitro Pro. They also do T-Bear servers as well. So let's put that over there as well. I got some RC box stickers. Ooh, I like that. Oh, so this is like beachrc.com stickers as well. I like this sticker. That looks cool. And another set of stickers as well. So thank you. Protect RC. So I think this is next. What's up is we actually have some RC Box Club shock, like these what are these things called? Like they basically you can they're like pliers for everything. So you have they're shock pliers first off, but they have different things. They have wheel nut, you can do wheel nuts, all that type of stuff. So that's really
ball
cool.
cups for H-scale.
All that stuff. So
that's like one of the biggest things you want those.
Yeah. Some more different. He said this was going to be a special package, right? It was going to be loaded with stuff. Some more diff oil, which is great because I need that. So thank you once again. Ultimate Racing diff oil, by the way, bought in by Beach RC. A Protect RC ride high camber gauge. Sorry. So that's cool. I know it's not showing all the best on the plastic. So we got that. Some Protect grease, which is cool. I use this stuff, even though I use a lot of the Car RC stuff. I know Mark uses the Car RC. So this is your lithium white grease.
That's like the same as the ultimate. Lithium.
I think this
I use that always, like the lithium one for everything, like on the diffs. It's really good.
Yes, O-ring grease. Good stuff right here. This is something that you always want to use. O-ring grease for your O-rings. Now it looks like we have
O-rings, shock O-rings, always O-ring grease.
Ooh, so this looks like a little S-Works RC. I'm trying to get S-Works to send. Yeah, I'm trying to get S-Works to send me a GT. Hint, hint. I asked him live. I asked Jorn Newman and Mika at. Oh no, this is a shock oil box.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's cool.
That's good. You got a lot of shock oils, and now you get a shock oil box.
Yes, so thank you. That's pretty cool. I like that. It's
but you don't.
portable.
You don't have an S-Works car, so
I'm trying to get a GT. Trying to get a GT.
Do you have
two GTs? My son wants to race. And then we have a turnbuckle wrench, 4mm and 5mm from Protect RC. So that's a pretty cool box. Like I said, not all the boxes will come with this much stuff. So this was like a special NNRC, catered to the NNRC. Obviously we're about nitro, so it's all basically pretty nitro stuff. But pretty cool. I know he has his own line of tools, like that RC Pro, that shock tool. Sorry, that shock pliers that he had. So that was pretty cool, and I like this. That's going up on my wall. I'm not using that for anything. So thank you to Mark Santa Maria for sending this out to me. My RC Box Club. I'm going to just put that to the side here. I know he was supposed to send me a letter with it, but I think he forgot. So I just wanted to get something up with all the rates and all that stuff. And give me 1 second, everybody. I should have had this pulled up. Unprepared as usual, Lefty. So this is what he sent to me. He goes, this box is an exclusively box built specifically for me. It contains samples from previous boxes that have been released. The RC Box Club is a monthly subscription service brought to you by Mark Santa Maria YouTube channel and Beach RC. Unlike most subscription boxes, RC Box does not contain overstocked or obsolete items. Each box is put together with a purpose and the passion of a true RC enthusiast. So you can see that. We have diff oils, we have stickers, we have stuff that all can be used here. It isn't like some off-brand, we want to get rid of this type of stuff. So they have 4 different memberships. Members of the RC Box Club get at least 40% more value for their money on RC gear. They currently have 4 membership tiers. They have the swag box, which is a $50 a month box. It has RC gear, shirt, and stickers. They have the gear box, which is $40 a month, which has RC gear and stickers, shirt sub. I think that's what it says. The sub box is $25 a month, and you get shirt and stickers, and then the sticker sub is $5 a month, and you get stickers early. So there are 4 different tiers. Like I said, this is probably I'm not saying this is what they get for $50, but this would be some of the stuff you would find in a $50 box. Like you said, RC gear, a shirt, and stickers. With the gear box, you get RC gear and stickers. With the shirt sub, which is $25 a month, you get shirt and stickers. And the sticker sub, you get $5 a month, and you just get stickers. It also says, with an RCBC membership, it's like having Christmas every month. Sign up today at rcboxclub.com. I will put the link for that in the written description of this podcast. Thank you to Mark Santamaria for sending this box out to me. I was eager to see what it was when I found out he was sending to me. I couldn't wait to get home to see what was there. And I want to say thank you for that. If you're listening to this on the audio only side of things, maybe slip over to our YouTube and check it out and have a look at everything that's going. Remember, go to myrcboxclub.com and you can order one of these today. Thank you to Mark. Thank you to his wife. And I hope you guys go out and get one. And I look forward to seeing what the next box holds. And remember, you guys can win one of these on our Christmas show next week, Thursday. All right, Max. It is time to go on to RC News.
So small.
And our RC News is brought to you by High Tech RC and Invisible Speed, Invisible Speed's actually having Ryan Lutz on this Sunday. So if you want to get some setup information from one of the nicest guys in RC, check them out this Sunday. Sign up for the course. We have an affiliate link in the written description of this podcast. It helps us out. And just go check it out. And we're gonna hit an ad right now.
Stop scrolling. You wanna be Lewis Hamilton? Learn something new with Invisible Speed. You can't do everything at 100% maximum speed. You have to be smooth. I mean, when you drive a real car, how do you just, when you get to a 90-degree corner to turn into the parking lot, do you go like that with the steering wheel? Do you like slam on the throttle and the brake? No, you probably turn the wheel smooth and get on the throttle smooth. Same thing with an RC car. If you want to learn more and make your speed visible, stop scrolling.
Stop scrolling. JQ and stop scrolling. Lewis Hamilton. That's so funny. But yes, sign up for Invisible Speed at invisiblespeed.net. We have links for that in the written description of this podcast. Remember, this Sunday, they'll be doing a live show with Ryan Lutz. Ryan Lutz and Bruno Coelho have joined it. And from what I heard, there's going to be some other drivers joining the Invisible Speed in 2024. Also, a big thank you to High Tech for all their continued support. I haven't even unboxed my new charger. As you can see, I still have the RDX2 Pro right here. And I'm still waiting to unbox my RDX 1000. I saw that little charger that you have while I was in the States. But I also think that they have introduced a new servo, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. But I was looking at it. They have a D95251TW coming out. I saw it on Instagram. And it features a potent combination of wide voltage capabilities, high resolution, rapid response, and patented smart sense technology to bring you the maximum performance. So X-Ray, I don't know what X-Ray is my mind. High Tech still bringing you great performance. I want to try some of these new servers that they come out. They were telling me about them when I was at the Horizon GP earlier this year. So thank you to High Tech RC for all your support. You can find High Tech products at A-Main. If you do get them from A-Main, just let them know that you heard about it on the No Name RC podcast. Wherever you get them from, you can let them know that you heard them from No Name RC podcasts. So we greatly appreciate their support. All right, Maxi.
I've been racing for High Tech now for all of 2023. So I'm my first year as a High Tech driver behind. Really happy, to be honest. really good. And I think obviously I spoke with David Ronefog being probably High Tech's top driver at the moment. And yeah, they're serious about, getting back into the, RC racing scene. So I'm excited. I've been hearing some things that coming up probably next year. So should be pretty cool. Should be very cool.
I have to basically I have to have a meeting with them. I think they're going on Christmas break, so just waiting for their response. All right, so we do have quite a bit of RC news to go through. Yeah, I guess we talked about this, but I'll share the picture because I didn't share it. Yeah, so this is not the whole team. We're missing Lance, but yeah, go ahead. Let's, you know what? I'm trying to find a picture of us all together. Hold on for a second. But yes, like I said, the Elite RC production team is myself, Lance, and Danny Paz, Patrick Rossiter, and Gene Strout Jr. We are the Elite RC production team, and yeah, man, we're hitting it hard. We're super pumped about this. We're having fun, and we had a great 5 weeks of doing RC stuff together. It was a long 5 weeks. I had fun. I was happy to get home because I did miss my family and all that good stuff. But man, it was a lot of fun, and people, they took really good care of me out there. So there we go. You're much more fast at this than me, so I'll bring it up. That's what happens when you're. There we go. We was at Callan when we took this picture, and that's the team right there. There's Patrick. There's myself. Obviously, I'm the biggest one there. There's Lance McDonald, RD extraordinaire. He is. I don't know, but he is busy. He said he had 32 events this year. I might be wrong.
Yeah,
so
I think
there's Danny, and then there's Gene Strout Jr., who has SJ Racing. So check him out if you want to get any cars built, anything like that.
Yeah, but also like just because I know you can't, pat yourself in the back, so I have to do it.
Ooh.
So like thinking of this kind of was put together in 1 year, and you already hosted the World Championship, like as a media productions, AMS, all this kind of stuff, and it's literally just 5 people. So it's not like it's a long thing that's been building up. So I will criticize you at some point. I won't do it today.
Oh, Jake, you had criticisms of me already when I didn't call his intermediate race as good. But AMS was very long, and he's got to find somebody to blame for him losing his race. So he has to find anger at somebody. But yeah, I mean, this is Lance. His pretty much the brainchild behind it, and then Danny is obviously the man. That Danny Paz is super intelligent. I remember when I first saw Danny Paz, he was putting GoPro cameras on short course trucks, and now he's become. This guy is intelligent. He's super smart. Like, he is able to figure out things. And then Gene Stroud has become a very good cameraman, and I think he's training to be a photographer. And then Patrick, who can do pretty much everything. He's a RD. He backs up for Lance. He can join me on commentary. At times, he does pit reporting. He's also he can do cameras, and then he's directing as well, which is great. So that helps out. He's able to pick out cars, and then we're switching between cameras. He does a very good job. And then of course Lance is the RD, organizer, driver. The amount of stuff that we take to these races, like his stuff, when he comes to a race, he brings everything you need: television, speakers, stands, everything you need to put on a show. He does. He has it there. So kudos to these guys. We had a lot of fun, and thank you to everybody that supports us, man. We really do. And you know what? The other thing about it is, all five of us are very passionate about RC.
Yeah, I think that's the most important. Like I've like through my 15 years of being on RC.
Mm-hmm.
When I was a kid, obviously I had this like belief that RC is such a great thing. Like, why would anyone like not love this? But now I've come to realize that it does require people just like making like stupid monetary and life decisions because they love RC so much that they want to put their time into this. Because like I bet Lance could make more money like doing something else. The elite RC production could make more money doing something else. But it's because these people like RC, even though it's a company, they're trying to make money and like make a living somewhat out of this. being it live RC or red RC or whatever. But as we've seen, like it does require some sort of like
it has to get paid.
passion
It's
and
work.
love for it. Yeah,
It's also work.
Yeah, and the thing is like red RC, for example, they realized they can work less, make more money, and they went away for a long time. Luckily now they've been back and they've been doing much more. So that's really, really cool to see. But it does require this like wanting to work for the sport in some sense.
So, and obviously, I've also worked with RC Racing TV. I've worked with Live RC as well. I do believe RC Racing TV has the Worlds next year, so that's great. I'm pretty sure I'll be there because I'm helping out the guys in the Worlds as well. And speaking of Red RC, I finally got to meet Oseen this past weekend and talk to him. Great dude. He had his photographer Nicole there who took some awesome pictures, and I asked him about that. I said, where did you go? He said, man, COVID. He said, COVID killed us. We didn't have nothing to do during COVID, so we kind of went away. But now we're back. He's off to China next week for another big race there. So, and you know what? I have been consuming a lot of Red RC content lately, and they are back. They are full-time back.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, I think like this year, especially GT Worlds now, the 12 scale Worlds, I think they're focusing a lot more on like those classes that don't.
They were at the 8 scale Worlds too. 8 scale 1 Red Worlds. They're gonna be at. Yeah. I think he's gonna be at every Worlds that he can be at. He was like, "I'll be in Brazil too." So
yeah, but I think it's great. It's great, and because they were, I think, I would like to say most professional. Even when Neo Buggy was around, the Neo Buggy was kind of like more
kind of like us.
It's kind of
we're kind of like them, but a little bit more extreme.
Yeah, but then Red RC was I think they were the most professional. They did like the things, and when you were at the races where these guys were at, like the touch they had was really professional. It was kind of like they're doing actually some journalism. Whereas Phil, I mean, he did a great job, but he was always kind of like just going around talking to people, and that was his style. But Red RC, I think we need someone who takes it a slight bit more seriously. But I think just to go on a little bit of a tangent, I think like
you weren't already on one.
Yeah, but I'm gonna go deeper, you know. So I think like I've begun to notice that we don't take the media of RC seriously enough. We kind of think that the point of having like RC Racing TV there is to film everything, you know, and like film each single main and each single qualifier and do some commentary and just be there for 12 hours a day. But to be honest, that's not worth it. You know, it's not worth it to pay how much EFRA pays like RC Racing TV to just do that. You know, I think we need to start thinking of ways to allow them to like have more of the potential. Like when I was watching the 12 scale Worlds and he was like, I really want to get Max's emotions, but then like Patrick said, oh, he's going to turn marshal, you can't do it now, you have to do it after. I was like, oh my god, like why couldn't they put a 5-minute break between? It wouldn't have changed the timetable in any way. But if they just thought, hey, let's put a 5-minute break here just for the interviews and stuff, because they knew you was going to do it.
Like, so I got what you're saying. You're saying the federations put more emphasis on accepting the media to allow the media to do a better job.
Exactly. Like, and also like race time, like they do their own show at the arena, but that's to a very narrow audience. You know, there's at best there's 500 people there, you know, whereas online there could be thousands of people. So I think like,
but I will say this.
I'm not saying
because when Lance is RDing, so just to so I will say this, that when that first with Max Mashler, who I got to meet, who's awesome.
Yeah.
IFMAR at first said, no, you have to wait till after they qualify, after the second round of qualifying, because we need a turn marshal. But then they realized, I will say this, Tim Caparel realized, okay, we need to, the interview is very important. Because Clayton realized, Clayton, even though his roar, he was like, why don't we have, he asked me, why is there no interview after that qualifier of Max? And I was like, well, Danny said, but they told us they have to wait till everything's done. And from that point on, we had an interview after each qualifier to capture the emotion.
Yeah.
So they got it. And then we saw like IFMAR working with us to say, hey, making sure that we got commercials, make sure they gave us a little bit of time because they had time to do that. So they are. But I agree with you that the federation and the program of the race has to also understand that the media part of it is important. There's a lot of things you want to do as media, but you're also trying to rush in between that. So when we do race time events, any events like that, Lance or whoever's Patrick or Lance, they call people TQ or winner because we only give enough time to do one, right? Because we have to keep the program running. It's hard to get 3 term marshals. That people know that now at race time events, any race that we're doing a production, people know. And Lance will also over to the because we always have an area set up for interviews as well.
Yeah.
Over there to get to, and let me tell you something. Now in the Southeast, people look forward to those interviews. It was funny because when I was at Fall Bro, a guy comes up to me and goes, "My goal this week is to get interviewed by you." Because he knew that if he TQ'd or won, he would get interviewed.
I know.
Right? And I'm telling you, it makes a difference. It makes a big difference. But kudos to IFMAR at the 12 Scale Worlds. They realized that and they allowed that to happen. And then we was able to get down there and capture. Like I'm watching Max. Like I just met this guy. So me and Max, we'll talk about it. But he was very emotional, which he should be. And I like that. And we caught all of that on camera when he came over and tears were coming on his eyes and all that type of stuff. And so they did adjust. I will say that, but that's the new IFMAR. And that's why I'm excited. We're going to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. But my point was just that I think we've been living in this time of like, we have a race program. We have to get through it. Everything is like this. Like it's very like old school bureaucratic, but we have to understand what like, yes, I do understand that people want to have their like whatever 132B filmed. But to be honest, would it be better to have a section where you'd prepare for the semifinals of the Euros or whatever? And even at the 12 scale worlds, I was thinking, like, wouldn't it be cool because this is going to the A3? Like, wouldn't it be cool if instead of like watching the B main, we would be preparing for like we would have people like in a podcast sense, like we're watching F1, that build.
I agree. But you know what that comes down to? Manpower.
I know it does.
And manpower comes down to having money to do that as well.
Yeah.
So I agree with you on a lot of that stuff. Yeah. But you know what? That B man, this is my attitude. That B man, that C man is just as important as that A man to those people. When they go home, their families that are watching. So it's a big thing. It's a big thing for people.
But it's kind of like what do we want to achieve? Do we want to advertise to only to the people at home who know what's happening? They're talking to the people at the race. They know it's going down to the A3. Or do we want to make it a spectacle? Do we want to make it so that
I agree.
Like someone at home stumbles into this, like, because there was 1,500 people watching the A mains.
Dude, it was almost 2,000 people watching that.
2,000 people, yeah. So like, I bet not each one of those are RC racers who know what's going on. They stumble onto that live stream, and if this guy telling you like, and it's not like anyone's fault at the race. I can't be like, hey, this is the race organizer's fault or IFMAR's fault or whatever. It's just like that has to be pre-planned. You have to make you have to make a change of attitude that, hey, we are going to do this and we want to do this. We're like RCGP. That's how it was structured. Obviously, they like try to take too big of a
chunk. How do you say? Too big of a bite.
Yeah, too big of a bite that they couldn't make it work like monetarily wise. But like you have to make some slight adjustments and like accept the attitude change beforehand. My girlfriend, when we watch F1, she absolutely waits for the interviews after the race. For me, I don't give a shit what Verstappen says after the race because I kind of know the sport. But for her, that's kind of like that's what she wants to see.
I agree. And as a media production team now, we're going to try and make some adjustments for that going into next year with some races, starting at these races that we have coming up. But I agree with you, but it does come down to manpower, right? So
it does.
And then you have to like So when I commentate, I always commentate to the online crowd. I'm not commentating to the people at the race. I'm commentating to, so if people have questions, I answer them, stuff like that. So I'm very interactive with my comment, as are a lot of commentators. I've learned from some of the best. I've had the privilege of working with Scotty. I have the privilege of working with Nick Damon. And now I'm developing my lefty style, as I call it. All right. Enough of that tangent, because I agree with you 100% on that. And everything can be better. And I know at Elite, we constantly think about things to be better. So that is absolutely great. And luckily, we have an RD in Lance that understands that and pushes us to do different things, like pit interviews, which we were doing. We did them at Fall Brawl. All right. So we have to get on for our news because we're going to go on tangents. You have up here the new X-Ray 10 scale off-road platforms that were being run at the Florida Carpet Championships that we will talk about on the next podcast, because this podcast we're talking about AMS, full FRCC, and 12 scale routes. So Max, real quick, give us a little rundown on what you think. Oh, we got a video, or is that just a?
No, it's just the interactive X-ray. So
give us a quick rundown on these vehicles for us, Max.
Okay, for those people who don't really give a shit, X-Ray finally agreed to fully copy the associated car, and now you can skip 5 minutes ahead on the podcast if you don't want to hear anything more. But if you want to go deeper into what's happened, is X-Ray
hold on for a second. I will add, if you are listening to this on audio, and you should probably go watch it on YouTube, because we are looking at pictures and we're talking about this. Okay. Yeah. Disclaimer said.
Yeah. So for a long while, X-Ray, they started out with their own style, very, short. I mean, the chassis length was always long, but the design was that there was this aluminum chassis and a very long plastic front end on the chassis, which we have those famous pictures of Daniel Kobevic's, car breaking in half and all that. They had the front suspension behind, the front shocks in front of the shock tower. The rear end, they tried to do their own thing, rear hub design, all of that. For the previous model, they changed the rear end quite completely, the rear gearbox, all of that. They went quite, I'd say, identical to the AE. And with this model, now they've finished with all the rest. So here on the pictures, we can see the front end is pretty much everything is new. It's the associated style where, I mean, even the shock tower looks like associated. They have the shock tower in front of the shocks. They have these new bulkhead / steering post type system where you have the link mount, then you have the bulkhead below the chassis. Link mount is above the chassis, and then on top of that you mount the front stiffener / shock tower mount, and then on the arms they have the shocks mounted on the center of the arm, and the hubs are pretty much same as now almost every car since even Schumacher went to the more AE style front hubs. But geometric wise, I don't think there's that much difference. It's more so just the looks of it, and probably it does have some weight bias things and so on. But geometric wise, I doubt there's that big of a difference. What's the big difference is the flex, which I think the two-piece chassis where the bottom is one piece of aluminum, and then the front of it is plastic like they had before. I do believe there must be some form of disadvantage. I can't say for sure because I don't really know, but it seems like every single manufacturer has moved towards this one-piece chassis, which has these bent sides. So it probably stiffens it up on longitudinal axis, but then torsionally it's probably more calm, more smoother the flex, it's not as aggressive. And as you can see, it's very similar to the AE. And they have kind of now realized the thing with the chassis length, because X-Ray was one of those brands who like dremeled the rear arms of like 5 millimeters forward and stuff. So now they went on a very aggressive chassis design, where there's the carpet edition, which is like if I'm not wrong, this is the old shorter version, and then they have an even shorter one. So now they're really close to what AE car is, which when I talked to the Finnish drivers, they absolutely said that this was a big deal, like shortening the chassis, because the X-Ray was much longer wheelbase than the AE. And that's pretty much like that's pretty much it. Like, it's in terms of geometric differences, there isn't much. It's mostly just the appearance, the flex characteristics of the car, where everything is attached, these kind of things. And well, actually, they have switched to 13 millimeter shocks, which seems to be the new standard. Schumacher, Associated, and now X-Ray. I'm not entirely sure about TLR. What's there? I think they're still on 12 millimeter, but almost all brands are now on 13. So yeah, I mean, that's about it. And lastly, I kind of want to touch on this thing that these days, every time someone releases a car that has an appearance of some other car, this is a copy. Like this, like for example, when the X-Ray saddle layout came out, everyone's like, oh, this is a copy of Kyosho, because Kyosho has a saddle layout. It's not a copy of Kyosho. You can say that design was like made by Serpent in 2011 or whatever, but they went away from it.
Gotcha.
Whereas this car, like, it's very hard to distinguish this car from an associated car. You know, that's like when everything is copied from someone else, or like every idea is copied from someone else, and there's almost little to no like innovation in the process. Like, that's when you can call someone a copy. I think the X-Ray saddle layout on the 8-scale buggy, that was great. Like, they did something that at the time, like, almost no manufacturer was doing. I'd say no manufacturer was doing. And now everyone's kind of went their way. So that was innovative. That was kind of taking the 8-scale e-buggy layout forward. But this, you can, I'd say you can call this a copy, you know, because it's such like down to a T the same looking as the Associated. And like, obviously I don't know exactly about the geometry, but even the rear end, like as you can see here on the picture, they have introduced a wider pivot, which is like exactly what AE did. Did. They went to the narrower one, and then they went a little bit wider because they realized the narrow wasn't that good. They have more, you know, control on the wider one.
All right.
So yeah, but I think so far they had good results. Obviously it's working. Obviously, you know, they've had the right things, and even the diff boxes, like they have the same style, like forward, and I don't know if they call it even a layback like Associated, but I was a little bit like disappointed, because like usually when X-Ray does something like this, where they like take a lot of influence on other cars, they usually include something nice. Like they have some like very nice ideas, like something innovative, like even the, you know, style of something. But I feel like recently, like even this body shell, it's like a straight up copy of the P1 that J Concepts has, and like that's kind of that I feel is annoying, because when Matrix or Extreme Aerodynamics released their body shell that Ongaro ran, like that had something cool in it. Yes, it's based on the J Concepts S15, but it has new stuff in it. But these X-Ray 8-scale body, for example, and now the 10-scale body, these are just straight up copies from J Concepts. So I think that's the difference there. And yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed, but I think X-Ray, like their value is mostly in the quality and such, and their four-wheel drive seems to have some things that are more innovative and different on their own way, and I think X-Ray's kind of done that platform their way from the start. So yeah, I think it's just like X-Ray kind of does this when they feel like they can't find a way out of their struggles. Then they just kind of give up, and that's what AE did with the 8 scale back in 2014. When they came out with the RC8 B3 platform, they kind of just was like, yeah, we don't know what to do, and they just copied immediately.
Which is actually a great segue into our next subject, which is the new AE car. I do know that at Carpet Champs, some of these guys were obviously using prototyping this. We had Bayer, we had Gotzel, Bruno, and David was there. So I know that they were trying this stuff, obviously probably the carpet version of this. And X-Ray realizes they need a dirt car. After that Worlds, very disappointing Worlds, they realized they need a car specifically for dirt. So hey, why not copy probably the best car for dirt at the moment, which is the Associated. Which, speaking of Associated, they dropped their new nitro buggy this past couple of days ago, which is the RC8 B4.1. You got the e-buggy up here. Where's the nitro buggy?
They have the both. They released both.
Well, let's go to nitro. The e-buggy's been around for a while. Yeah.
No. They released this at the same time.
Okay, but all right, let's talk about the nitro.
I mean, they didn't update much. So basically, what they updated was they offers now like a rear bias layout. Why is it so small? Like a rear bias layout. But now, like I think what the craziest thing about the e-buggy is the motor mount. It's just one of these, like one clamp, and that's it. That's all the motor mount has. So I'm like, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like a lot to strap in that horsepower, but maybe that's all they need.
Yeah,
obviously, they put it through the tests.
Yeah, I think so. Like they must have tried it at least a little bit. So yeah, that's pretty much all new on the e-buggy. Like they have new rear hubs and shock towers and shorter shocks. That was e-buggy. Nitro, it does have a little bit more, I'd say. Like e-buggy has one strap on the motor mount, a new chassis, and shocks. But the Nitro, it has the new rear bias, chassis. So they basically moved everything quite a bit back. As you can see, like you can see the pipe, like very close to the rear arms, and here you can see it's like so far back. So everything is essentially moved 10 millimeters back from what they had, what they started out with the B4. And they already released this chassis before, like during this year, and now it comes to stock on the 4.1. They also have the new rear hubs. Before they used to be one-piece plastic hubs, but now they have the hub with a carbon fiber piece which you can adjust, which is nice. When I was running for Associated, I already told them please do this. They kind of skipped a little bit and then they went on this. Luckily they realized, luckily for them, they realized in the end what's the right way to go. They have introduced shorter shocks. So Associated is one of those brands who has been running, the same shock bodies on buggy and chuggy. So essentially the shock bodies are like too long for buggy, but now they have released shorter ones and obviously new shock towers to put them lower. I'd be interested to see what happens because they did this with their 10 scale and they ended up going back to the longer ones. So I want to see what happens with this. But to be honest, like apart from the little +1 steering pieces, it's not that much of new stuff. But I already had a discussion about this with a few people on the Discord. Like people are like, oh, Associated is become one of those brands who release a new buggy each year. But I think it's actually a good thing because, for example, HP, they release a buggy almost never, or then they just randomly release a new one, you know? So as a customer, like I'd be like, should I buy a new one or should I wait for the new one to come out, or what should I do? I think it's much better. Oh, Gearshow is also actually another who does this same strategy as HP. So I don't only target them, so no one can get mad at me. So I think it's actually much better to have a yearly release schedule, because like I'd say 90% of us like update their kits yearly. And if they don't, they anyway run the same car. And I think it's better because when you release a kit yearly, during the year, these pros will start to use certain parts because the R&D is like continuous. So for example, this 10 millimeter back chassis, like, would you rather buy a kit that comes with this chassis as standard, or would you rather update your kit, buy $100 part just to get back to the baseline you want to be on? Obviously, you want that to come straight on the kit if everyone runs it, especially in America, everyone seems to be running it. So I think like more brands ought to realize this sort of 2-year cycle. So you R&D parts, you test them on your pros, you release them as option parts. If people like them, you put them on the kit next year. You know, I think that's like a cycle that most brands should do. X-Ray does it. Associated has started to do it. Hopefully, maybe some other brands realize it for their sake, because like the current way is a little bit silly. For example, Mugen, they went back and forth in the CVAs and universal drive shafts. So basically, you're buying $100 worth of drive shaft every time you buy a new kit, because they decided to try it on their MBX7R. That, hey, let's try to have universals. No, it didn't work. Nobody liked it. So yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I think people will like it. I think AE is a brand that has built up its prestige and heritage, and it is a very popular car. So it's going to be people going to buy it. It doesn't matter, and it is what it is. All right. Next up and last on our news for this podcast will be this: the Reedy 25. Raw has announced that the Reedy 25 SP5 25.5 motor has been removed from the North American governing body's approved motor list, effective as of noon Friday, December 20th, 2023. They basically Reedy has been made. So basically, Raw said in a statement sent to us by Raw. By the way, we're reading this off Red RC. They state that while most motors are in spec, there are some that do not meet the minimum stator stack length requirement of 9.7 millimeters, and therefore they are removing the motor from the list. Reedy, who had been made aware of the issue, will be required to resubmit the motor for a new inspection and approval once manufacturing issues are resolved. After an investigation and obtaining samples from 3 separate hobby shops, Raw has found that some of the 25 of the motors do not meet the minimum stack length, which goes to rule number 11.3.7.5. Even though most are 100% within spec, some are not. Any modification of motor configuration materials following Raw approval is not allowed. Rule 11.3.2.4. Therefore, Raw will be removing the Reedy 25.5 from the approved list effective of December 20th. So yeah, it sounds like. So here's the what's the right look, hypocritical stuff here. Nothing to do with Raw. So it sounds like this is a manufacturing error as well. Like some motors got these long stator, whatever the hell they're called, a longer stator from other motors. So somehow they made their way into the batch, which I can obviously see. But it's like when Trinity came. Okay, now Trinity's situation was a little bit different. Like it was like somebody put some extra solder in there, like somebody with motor skills when it tipped. This sounds more like just a manufacturer. You know how things are over there. Oh, we got all these bunch of 9.7 millimeter stators. Let's just throw them in any motor we can, right? Yeah. But there was no big outrage at Reedy for this, as there was against Horizon, even though it was absolutely not Horizon's fault, right? Yeah. But there was oh, you're destroying legacy and all this type of stuff. Well, rules are rules. And if you fail the rules, then that's it. Yeah. That's it. You got to remember.
Yeah, I think it's funny because I think, wasn't it called the slot machine or whatever?
Yeah.
Like that one, all of those engines were like most likely made before the Horizon acquiry. So that was under the old management, the old team manager, whoever was, pulling the strings back then. They did that, like knowingly or unknowingly. Was it bad? What you call it, product control, or was it like trying to go around the rules? I don't know, but whichever it was, that was under the old management. And I think this one just proves that like the quality control of this motor manufacturing and manufacturing RC is just at such a poor level. Everything is made in Asia, and like most of these manufacturers don't have any contact with them. They like contact with them through email, and it's kind of like it's almost like 90% like outsourcing. Like, yeah, they do make some design changes and so on, but all of these components are pretty much outsourced. Like that's why I think it's a little bit funny, like people are so outraged about the Trinity situation, because like I bet like most of these 3D or Trinity or whatever engineers don't even know what actually ends up on the customer's hands. They had an idea at some point, and then because it's produced so much, so like overseas, usually it's such a small sample size, so the quality, like the tolerances of these like jump on one side to the other. So yeah, I that's also like interesting, because this just proves how shitty the previous roar was, because they didn't catch any of these, and now the new roar has catch like 2 in 1 year.
Crazy stuff. All right, we do have more news, but we'll touch on that in episode 264, because we're trying to get through this in a decent time for everybody. So, but we do have what everybody wants to talk about, and that is silly season news, and that is going to be something we talk about a lot, but we're going to start it off after we take this commercial break. Thank you to Techno RC for all the support. We greatly appreciate it. And
Techno RC. Techno RC is a championship-winning manufacturer of high-performance A-scale, 10-scale, nitro, and electric RC buggies and trucks. With a worldwide dealer network, USA and Europe-based headquarters, comprehensive warranty program, and global race support, Techno RC is excellence in RC. View the full lineup of Techno RC race-proven vehicles by visiting www.technorc.com.
thank you to Techno for all their continued support. We greatly appreciate it. Congratulations to Ryan Mayfield, who won AMS. We will touch on that after silly season news. But first up is actually something positive, but for all eagle-eyed people, you will know what I'm talking about. So recently, Dakota Fenn went to the Angola Middle School and did a career day. And he went over how he was able to turn his passion for RC racing into a career. And there are a lot of great and unique opportunities in the world, right? This is absolutely awesome, right? Love this type of stuff. We definitely need to get more kids involved. And then we see him showing these kids his RC cars, which is very cool. But I want us to zoom into something real quick, because this is something that's important to silly season. So I'll never forget. We was in the camper, and my buddy Gene goes, "Lefty, look at this." I'm like, "So you see this little spot right here, where this young lady with her black shirt is on right here? Well, there was a radio here in this picture that he showed me. Right? You can see there's a stick, it's blacked out, right? It's been blacked out. So I'm going to tell you what this radio was, because I saw the original picture. It was a FlySky Noble Pro that I have, that Mayfield runs, that Reinhardt runs, that Rutherford works, right here on the table. So they put up this picture with the radio, realized that they put it up, erased this post, and then blacked out the radio. So I'm sorry, Dakota Fenn, but I think you're going to FlySky Noble Pro. And that sounds about right, because people that saw this picture would know. I made a post on it, and people were like, "He's going to fly high." And I believe it is, because I believe he's signing with Noble. They are with FlySky. They're spending a lot of money. We're trying to get them to also advertise her. I mean, I learned about the Noble Pro from Will Smith, Jimmy the President. Will Smith was the first one to tell me about it. And the original version, I couldn't get it. And I got the Noble Pro. And I have to say that it is a good piece of kit. And I think we're going to start seeing more and more of these in RC racing with these top guys driving. But what's going to happen is now Futaba and Sanwa are going to start competing with it, which is great. Competition's great. So I have a feeling that Mr. Dakota Fenn is going to be running a Fly Sky next year, because they had it right there in that picture and then they took it down. So I just wanted to start it off with that. So one of our silly season things that are going on, I think Fenn's going to Noble Fly Sky, and I heard there's another driver going as well. And hopefully they decide to advertise on this podcast. You need to talk to them again. What do you think about that, Max, real quick?
I think it's interesting. Like, it seems that almost everyone is now going there, and from what I've heard, they are paying quite well. Like, from what I heard from because Reinhardt was obviously the first one. He was the first one who started running them, and I heard through some mutual friends that the paycheck he's getting is like significant. And he tried it at the touring race, and it actually worked perfectly fine. He felt exactly the same as with his Sandva. So then obviously after that, Ron Fox, good friends with Reinhardt, they probably talked about it. And David had his M17 brake. He actually used Hampus's radio at the e-buggy Euros this year. And then after that, we saw him running the Fly Sky. Mayfield, he has a history of having issues with radios. So yeah, and now Fend. I just think Fend I understand, because I think he has been running Spectrum, which as
he's also been running the M17 as well. He's been trying different radios.
Yeah, so which we all know Spectrum isn't the radio, it's good for hobbyists and so on, but it's not really at that quality in terms of the feed, whatever. It's not that fast. So I'm mostly interested to see what will happen, because Fly Sky is selling that radio at such a low rate. The market price for it is like half of anything else out there at that level. So I'm interested on how will that affect the radio market. Does Sanva just stop coming out with new models, or
no? They're going to be forced to compete by hiring drivers, I think, because it's well known that Sanva doesn't really pay drivers. People just use their radios. So
yeah,
Sanva pays. So we're probably going to see that happen.
Yeah, but I think it's interesting because I don't think really people choose radios based on what top drivers run.
I think it affects it, obviously, because it's affecting this radio.
It's
giving it legitimacy.
Radio. Yeah, but I think it's a different, because Sanwa, they don't need top drivers. Everyone knows Sanwa is the best. Futaba is it's one of the OGs, but it's not as good as Sanwa. That's basically, when you go out on the track, everyone has the Sanwa, at least. And in Europe, I feel. So yeah, Fly Sky, I think they're gonna be, but I'm very confident that Fly Sky is going to have to raise the price at some point. I think they're selling these at a very low profit, and when they have enough of the market, they'll hike up the price a little bit. But I feel a little bit hesitant about the situation, because radio is not something that people buy every year like race kit is. Radio is something that people change every 2 years at best, and every 4 to 5 years at worst, So even if you pay $1,000 for a radio, it's still not really that big of a business for Sanwa or someone. Yeah, obviously you can make some money off of receivers, but even nowadays a lot of these off-brand receivers are coming out that work with Sanwa radios and so on. So I'm a little bit worried if at the big for Sanwa, it's a good business being so far, because everyone buys their radios with little to no marketing, and so on. But I feel like there might be a situation where, like,
They buy
something
them
like,
because pro drivers use them. The M12 was the best radio for the longest while that people used. Let's be honest.
yeah, but I mean, even the M17, I bet it's technically, like, when you look at the technology, it's the best radio out there. So I think people will be using it. Yeah, like, my fear is that these companies will realize that there isn't that much money into it, and then, like, the quality of radios will go down. That's my fear.
We shall see, but they're definitely making a big push. Up now, everybody's talking about this radio, by the way. Up next, not that big of a move, but must be talking about. Brought to us by Circus RC. Renault Savoia making the move to Matrix, or Matrix making the move to him. Even though Savoia's best years as an RC racer are kind of over, he still is good in France, and he has a shop in France. And I look at this as Matrix big push into the French market right now.
Well, actually,
which only makes sense.
Which I think it is that I think the French, because Kyosho Europe is based in France.
Mm-hmm.
They have been the distributor of AKA,
and they have their tires OGO as well that they're distributing.
No, that's not theirs. OGO is XDR's tire. They have the Jetco.
Sorry, I do apologize.
Yeah, they have the Jetco tire, but I think the Jetco tire has kind of that not high-end tire, like budget tire, in its name. Even though I think it's a decent tire, I'm not saying that it is a budget tire, but the branding of it and the brand image it has, it's not like Matrix or Hot Race. So what I've understood is that Kyosho France is starting to distribute Matrix tires in their region at least. So
I would say a smart move by Matrix.
Yeah, and I mean, Renault gets paid, as far as I'm concerned, Renault gets paid by Kyosho Europe, not Kyosho International.
Mm-hmm.
So that would make sense that he would be running Matrix and working closely with them.
Right.
And wasn't he running AKA before?
Mm-hmm.
So I think what Kyosho Europe is doing is saying, fuck you, AKA, because you really can't get those tires anymore. And then then they are starting to do Matrix. And then, Renault, obviously, sweet. Because they do Kyosho, Pico, and now Matrix. And obviously Renault runs all of that. So I think it's just a natural business move.
And next, and a great segue into Kyosho, they made some news over the last month. Yao Figueiredo, after over 10 years with them, is now out at Kyosho, and he loved Kyosho. He had a very good year this year as well. The rumors are techno for him. We'll talk on that in a second. Well, let's talk on that now. So Yao out at Kyosho and possibly to techno. Thoughts on that?
Well, I don't know where techno comes from. I haven't heard anything like this.
I have my little birdies all over the place. So hold on for a second. I heard techno has signed quite a few European drivers.
That's interesting because I kind of like they tried with Sanketin. They've been
trying to try with Sanketin. They tried with Ruffalo, but if you look, techno started to make a move in Europe, like big moves. They're getting it's popular. They're popular in Greece. Obviously, Elias is from Greece, so he has a lot of people there. They're decent in UK. They have a Spanish distributor now, and now they'll have if y'all signs with them, that's going to be their foot in the door for Portugal. So I know they had not a big focus on Europe at one point, like because the USA was good. So they now see, I believe, or they probably always saw it, but now they're putting some focus on Europe. And I think that you're going to start to see way more technos in Europe in 2024.
I think that's very possible. I think in now talking about Joao himself, I think he kind of ran out the way he can do with Kyosho because obviously Kyosho isn't hiring. If he would get paid, he would get paid by like Kyosho Europe or someone. He wouldn't get any money from Kyosho Japan. So he had a year where he was pretty much top 5 at every single big race. He was challenging for big wins, here and there. So I think he's at the level where he could be a legitimate pro driver.
He finished 6th. He finished 6th at DNC.
Yeah, yeah, and like I think Joao is a driver. Like he has the skill to be a legitimate pro driver, but he can't make that happen at Kyosho. So I think this was sort of him accepting that, hey, I want to be a pro and I have to make a move for it, because Joao was from, I'd say, 2016, 17 to like 2022. I'd say he was a driver that was a fast guy, but just at the
I know what you're
edge of
saying.
being pro. You know, kind of what Skidmore has been for the past few years. Kind of like there, you know, that level. But I think now this year he has just about went over that, you know, little I'd say cliff or whatever you call it. But um, now he's over that level and he's made the choice. Like, I have to look elsewhere. So I mean, Techno would make sense because they haven't had any new guys come in America, but they lost Barufalo. Um, They don't have drivers like McBride anymore. You know, they really don't have much stuff, you know, going on apart from like American team.
Yeah, but the American team is huge.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, like their
just
team has
everywhere, like people, not just pro drivers, everywhere.
Yeah, but I mean, like the team that they are paying for travel, giving money to, it has shrunk over the years, which is obviously good for them. That's like that's smart business because they still have gotten good results. So there's, I think, room for them to spend some money, and Joao probably would be good because his dad has one of the most. Him and his dad have one of the most prestigious tracks in Europe at this point. They also have a hobby shop. They have quite a big following in Portugal and Spain.
But they don't have a shop. But they have links to a shop. No, they have they're very influential in Portugal.
Yeah. But basically they have a lot of, you know, put into that. So I think that would make sense. But I want to say about Techno, I think because the last push they made was with Sanketin.
No, Barufalo.
No, but I mean the last, like, because I'd say Barufalo just left like a month ago, you know, and I think it went much better this time. Barufalo won big races. He was influential. He like made good results. He made the world's main and so on and so on. Whereas the last push with Sanketin, let's say previous push with Sanketin, I think at that point their car just wasn't good enough. Because I remember we went with Joseph to Austria, and there was this group of guys who ran Techno cars. There's like, I think 4 or 5 guys, and they all said, "Yeah, we got this car for free from Techno." I mean, they were just like club drivers. They weren't good. They never seen it before, never raced an international level. But they said, "Yeah, Techno wanted to get some new people in Europe, and we got this car for free from Techno." But it absolutely sucked, you know. Like they were happy with the car even though they got it for free. But now I feel like, because I've been talking to new people, like lots of people, and everyone I talk to, like regular level drivers, they say the Techno is good. So I think, I mean, even though it's hard for me to believe because they went like such a like different geometrics, like strategy. They have narrow pivots, long arms. The front end is like quite a high offset, but 0 KPI, but no like scrub on the tire. So it's like very, very weird, you know, design compared to others. They're doing something of their own, which not a lot of brands are doing. But I think they are seeming to make it work, you know. For some reason, I don't know for sure what's making it work, but they seem to be making it work. And that, like Mayfield's recent results, his win at AMS, I think that proves that it can work on not only at DNC and Silver State, which I kept saying on this podcast. If you go back, you remember I said it's good on bumpy tracks that has low speed. But now, due to Mayfield maybe making some changes, maybe they find a more overall setup that makes the car work. They are winning races like AMS. So yeah, I do think that maybe now the push might actually work in Europe.
Okay.
So yeah.
We'll see. But definitely making a push into Europe if they've signed y'all. But my little bird say yes. All right. So with that,
and
we
also,
are talking.
I wanna end it on this. And if they make it work, I gotta fucking tip my hat because, like,
Ooh,
the design they made, it's like it's the same level of stubbornness as Joseph, you know, because like he has his things, like he wants to make this work, and what Tekno has done, like they just, I want to make long arms, you know, we have the longest arms in the market, like why? I don't know, just because, and they make it actually work. Like I gotta tip my hat. That's a freaking good job if they make it work.
Mayfield said at AMS that was the best Techno he's had all year. So, and he said they've been working
But
very hard on it.
Yeah, but he had a lot of new parts. It seemed. Yeah, new
Okay.
shock
We'll talk about
towers.
Mayfield and AMS because that was a great drive for him. Well, on Kyosho. So, with that said, Little Bump left HB. We're going to talk about future of HB in the next podcast. But Little Bump leaves HB, and there were some rumors where he's going to go. Everybody thought it was X-Rays. Mayako was thrown out there, all that type of stuff. But he signs with Kyosho with Ryan Lutz, which I think is a good move. I talked to Ryan at Fall Brawl. He's happy about having Little Bump on there. I think Little Bump, I think we're seeing Kyosho as well committed to racing, because I actually have Kyosho as one of my teams to watch out for next year because they're growing. They're starting to come back. And I think they're going to grow a lot next year as well. And they, of course, they have the prestige that Kyosho has, 8 world championships and everything that from before. I think Little Bump will be good there. I still think that he's 12 years old, going 13. We don't have to put no pressure on him. Like everybody thinks he has to go out there and win and all that type of stuff. No, he needs to develop organically, and hopefully he can under the tutelage of Ryan Lutz and find what he's looking for that he might not have found at HB. Because he's also at HB in a team with lots of good people. The Fullers, Cole, Pavidis. I think even Jackson Bronson was there at one point, and he was, even though I consider Bump to be one of the top drivers out there. Maybe he'll get that win next year or in a year's time or whatever, you know, as he gets older. And being under Lutz, very calm, very collective, you know, and Kyosho seeming to grow regionally and nationally in America. I think it's a good move for Bump.
Yeah, I think for Little Bump's sake, it's good that because essentially HP and Kyosho, they drive in a similar way. Both are, you know, 0 KPI, you know, C-Hub cars. But the Kyosho offers more drive out of the corners because of the rear end.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think like this move could be like really good for Lil Bump. Like obviously it's hard to say what his driving style is at this point because he's so like early on into his career.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's at that age where he doesn't necessarily know how he drives. He just drives how it feels good, you know? That's like the benefit that kids have in RC. But I think Kyosho is the type of car that likes to be pushed. That's why I think Lutz does so well with it, because he pushes, you know, he knows how to like take the car to its limit and go fast with it. But I think Lil Bump is just like the new age of that style. Whereas Ongaro is like the polar opposite. Like he doesn't push necessarily. He just tries to guide the car around the track without scrubbing speed at all. Whereas Lil Bump, I think, is so far what we've seen, I think he's a little bit of the opposite, where he pushes the car. Not like Barufalo, but his own way, you know?
Yep.
And I think Kyosho is going to offer. I just saw a video of him like 2 days ago running.
I haven't seen anything.
And I was like, yeah, that's what I'd like to see. You know, that's what I like to see, the way he drove it. So I do feel hopeful for him. But I mean, to be honest, like this is not like, oh, Mayfield goes to Kyosho move. This is like a kid that's 13. Like he's not even in high school yet. You know, let's not put any pressure on this guy.
Absolutely. All right. We'll touch on SRX real quick. Boots staying, not surprised. I know there was some rumors of him leaving, but I think he turned his year around completely.
Yeah.
in the last 6 months, and man,
I don't
he
know
was
what happened.
absolutely flying.
Yeah. It was like, because I think this has been the best, 4 months of Boots' career.
In a while, in a long time. So I say 6 months.
Because
I say 6 months.
it was from the Euros on. I think that's
Before the
he finished
years, didn't
second.
even a race before the years. Yeah, won a race because I remember saying,
Oh,
man,
yeah,
I think
yeah.
So this is what I said. I remember saying, in fact, I think Boots is going to have to retire because he's not doing anything. That was first half of this year, but he totally rejuvenated his career.
It was the Italian race. You remember?
Yes, he did well. So that was in June. So 6 months ago.
That was the one where I think he got by Polito at the very end of the race, And we was talking in the podcast. I remember this. He was like, Boots, this is good. This looks good for Boots because he hasn't done anything recently. Then I think the next big race after that was the Euros. He finished second behind Canas, who had like out of this world performance. And then at Buggyland, he seemed stronger than Canas until like his unfortunate retirement. He battles for the win at the Reds GP. Like, I have to say, like, I don't think I've seen Boots do this well with S-Works ever. And I think, like,
well,
he's 20.
Time out. He won Silver State with the S-Works.
No, but it's that was one race,
Mm-hmm.
But this is like a run of races at different tracks where he's like on par with the hottest driver on the planet right now on scale, Canas, So I think like that speaks volume because at Kyosho, no one was at Kyosho at the time when he won the Euros in 2015. Ronefalk had just switched to HB. The car didn't look good for him back then, So that win, he dominated at Chile in 2015. Deserved win, But it wasn't, that there was these guys who were like at top of their game and he was battling with them. And then 2016, both Robert.
He got gifted that. I mean, a win is a win, but he kind of got gifted that Euros.
Yeah. He was comfortably in third, and he got lucky in some sense, but obviously that's racing. He deserved that win too, but it wasn't like, oh, Boots is like the number one guy here. And then 2017, he was still good, but not like spectacularly good. 2018, not a great Euros, not necessarily a great Worlds, didn't even make the main. Then 2019 leaves, Kyosho S-Works looks a bit difficult at times, good on other times. But now, at this point, I have to say he has rejuvenated his career and he's looking better than ever.
Absolutely.
And I hope he can keep it up next year.
Okay.
Because he has his own style and he's been the number one UK driver. So I think it's good that he kind of has himself back there. And also for the sake of Reds and everything, I think it's good.
Okay. Next up, I would say we're going to touch on this. I don't think there's any changes in the USA team. I don't think they might add somebody, but I don't think so. I think that's staying the same. So no big changes there. I will say this. S-Works is the hot car going into a USA next year. It is. They're putting a lot of people on the team. Now, it's a lot of quantity. It's a lot of quantity, a lot of racers, a lot of drivers. But a lot of people are using the car, a lot of people driving it, and I expect that we'll see. This will be the biggest boom. I've seen a lot of people driving and getting on the team in the last 6 months, and this will be the biggest boom of S-Works, I think, that we've seen since maybe Hara and A-Main took it over, and it fizzled out in 2024. Yeah. But with that said, I still think Kyosho is going to be one of the fastest growing rebrands next year in racing.
Yeah.
So USA is going to stay the same. I think they're going to get a lot more regional drivers on the team and stuff like that. A lot of the HB drivers that have left, which we're going to touch on HB on the next podcast, they are picking up S-Works. But this was a bit of surprise for me. The Parente brothers, two of Spain's top young talents, and probably two of the top young talents in the world, are out at S-Works. Now, my little brain's clicking. I'm thinking they're going techno, but I'm surprised that they're out at S-Works. Now, I do know this. I think that I heard that the they don't like the older brother, Danielle, does not go to school. I don't know if it's being homeschooled or what, but it's like really trying to be a professional driver. I think it's being homeschooled. And
okay, so this is, I mean, for anyone, because I'm pretty sure most of the Americans are like, who is Parente, you know?
yes,
But
quickly
he's
explain
like,
to the to Americans who
Yeah.
Parente brothers are. Xbox drivers know.
yeah, so I think Daniel is the
Danielle
bigger one.
is the oldest one.
Daniel Pariente. So
And Adrian, I think
he's
the
the
other one is.
guy. He's the guy who blocked Canas from winning the Spanish nationals. I think it was a year or two back by straight up beating Canas on like same equipment. You know, I don't think it even was his own track. You know, straight up beat Canas and then gave the title to Robert. It was either 2021 or 2022. I think 2021. That was Robert's last title. But basically, he has beat Canas straight up before in Spain. He made the Euros main this year. He's made pretty much all of the big Southern European mains this year.
He almost made the world's main too. Last year.
Yeah, yeah. So he is like a fast driver, you know, like top level driver.
And he's only like 16.
And his little brother, he's like making quarterfinals, semifinals at the European races. I think he was semis this year at the Euros, and he's younger. He's like at least a few years younger. So these two are kind of like the next Kilic brothers, I'd say. You know, a slightly new generation, but I think just as, if not even more promising than the Kilic brothers. And yeah, they're coming out of Spain, so they got to race year round and so on. But I mean, Techno would make sense now that you said that they have a new distributor in Spain. I would like to know if they are somehow related, like the distributor. Do they know Parente? What's happening down there?
I know they signed that young kid Iker who ran Mayako.
Yeah.
And they signed him. But it's gonna be interesting to see where they end up. I was very shocked that they left. And let's see what they end up. Let's see what they end up doing. All right. So we are going to talk about a few more. Like I said, we're going to talk about one more silly season. Then we're going to move on to recaps of a couple of races. But we have a lot more silly season news to come up in the next podcast. I think we have to talk about one of the biggest things and what everybody is talking about at the moment, where he's going to end up. And that is Tasman dropped by X-Ray. No surprise here. I kind of talked about this after seeing him at Masters. I did see Gord and him at AMS recently, about 5 weeks ago, and I talked to him straight up. I said, hey, so what's going on? And Gord said, well, obviously he got kind of dismissed as team manager prior to this. I knew that was happening. And then Tessman was like, I don't know what's going to happen. But Gord said, I'm going back to regular work, I believe, like as a regular job, not doing RC anymore. Now, this was 5 weeks ago. A lot could have changed. But he's going back to that, which I'll be honest with you, I'm not really surprised at that, because the amount of money it takes to sign both of these guys is pretty expensive. And we always talked about when will be the time when Tessman Ty would have to go on his own. So obviously the first thing, and then of course now a couple of weeks ago, we see that Ty has been dropped by X-Ray as well. Where he's destined to go, nobody knows. I keep hearing retirement. I mean, he's 30. I think they say retirement, maybe part-time racer. He's going to get a real job and do that type of stuff. And then, of course, the RC nerds like a lot of people say, oh, he could go to Mugen, he can go to this. So I mentioned Mugen to them, and this is what I was told. Mugen said, and Mugen's been known for this. Mugen said, we didn't see any increase when Mayfield joined the team, and we didn't see any decrease when he left. In other words, profits, money.
Yeah. And
Mugen has been a team, before they hired Mayfield, they really didn't have anybody besides that. No, that's it. They have Adam Drake, who goes around and he's not out there winning races, but he goes around and is a good, he's their ambassador, team manager. So Mugen's still going strong as a brand, Over in Europe, they have the Kilics, and it's still a very popular brand. It's still popular in America. They do have some 10 scale cars coming out, so I know a lot of people think that Tessman will go drive because of that, and they will need somebody to go out there and champion a two-wheel drive buggy. So there might be a possibility, but we also know that Mugen USA does not pay well. One of the reasons why Mayfield eventually left. And Mugen just feels like they kind of feel like, well, we don't have to. We still have a great competitive car. It's good quality. We have prestige and heritage. We have Adam Drake. And they haven't, Mayfield, yes, won a lot of races with him. And I think they're just thinking like, yeah, we won all these races, but we didn't see an uptick in sales. And when he left, we didn't see a bunch of sales that left. I mean, I'm sure a few people left because of him. So I don't know, man. I don't know if Ty's going to retire. I don't know if he's going to work out some sort of deal where he can be a part-time racer and have a real job. I don't know if he's going to get picked up by another company. At this point, I don't know where Ty can go, right? We're at a point right now, and every race I went to, people were saying, have we reached that point where we see pro drivers not having, is he going to be the first driver for the ride? And it is quite possibly so. So with that said, this man has also won a lot. He could retire at 30, and he has accomplished a shit ton. He is a world champion. He's a multi-time national champion. He's won a lot of, pretty much a class in every big race out there. He's won DNC. Did he win I don't think he's ever won a Neo, did he? Or I might be mistaken. I could be wrong. My memory doesn't serve me right.
Because Tebow won so many of them.
Yeah, Cavallari won one. Cavallari and Drake won a bunch.
Yeah.
So he can rightfully retire and say, I've done everything in my career. But here's my thing. If he retires at the age of 30, and let's be honest, he has not been as competitive as he was. He has won races, but he has not been as dominant as he once was. That's also a factor. If this happens, I think it's very sad for the industry that a person at 30 years old, still in the prime of their career, who's a world champion and won multiple national champions, isn't into RC. For me, it doesn't bode well for anybody that is looking to make RC their choice of work coming up in the future. Now, I don't know if Ty's gonna get some sort of where would he go? Like everybody's like, where can he go? Now, Sparko keeps coming up to mind. A lot of people throw out AE. I don't think AE needs him. TLR don't need him. Maybe they do. Who else will we see? What other companies you think? Serpent's been thrown out there. WIRC, but I don't see that happening. What other companies? HB, a return to HB. Not with what I'm hearing about what's going on with HB. I don't know, but anything's possible. Mayako, I don't think so. Even that I heard that was an option at one point. Who else do we have? S-Works. I don't think S-Works is going to get him. If they do, they'll get him very cheap. Actually, it might be a good fit, but he doesn't like pillow balls. Well, he actually has pillow balls, but I don't know, man. What are your thoughts on this? If Ty retires, if he retires, is it good for the hobby? Is it bad for the hobby? Maybe he is tired of traveling, tired of this, because hey, look, people, I get it. I work in this industry now. It's fun to do what you love, but to always be on the, when you're based on your performance, which a lot of jobs are, but outright you're based on racing performance and where your money comes from, like that. Maybe having a regular job is something he's looking forward to. If that's
I do have to say, it's a little bit depressing, but I'm quite confident that he's gonna just either he'll find some little bit off-brand and then gets a Drake style of job, but I don't think he'll get the similar type of position he's at now with X-Ray. It's hard to say, but I really don't know where he'll go.
It's hard. Where can he fit in?
Yeah, I don't think there's any brand who WIRC. If Cavallari left, I think WIRC makes them.
But we're going to talk about that next. I'm going to talk about that in the next podcast. But the only brand that fits is freaking Mugen.
Yeah, but they're not gonna spend money on Testament. They already have Drake. Why
Well,
would
so here's the thing. Maybe they spend money on him, pay him that little bit, but he gets his money from elsewhere as well to make it up.
Yeah, I
Like
think if Testament like really wants to stay in RC, he will accept a very, let's say small pay from Mugen, but he will become the Canadian distributor. Something
that too.
along those lines.
Yeah. Where he gets
will basically
he'll get a salary plus commission.
Yeah. Basically, he'll get money off of sales in Canada, and then he'll work together with Drake in America. I think for Mugen and for Testament, that's the best possible outcome of this silly season.
And then he makes money off, he could get contingency and stuff, and probably some salaries off other companies and make it up. But as he's not, because a lot of people think, he's going to get $5,000 a month from Mugen. No, I think Mayfield was getting $1,500 a month from them at that time, and he was winning those races. As the guy used to say, you got paid $500 per class.
Yeah.
So I think that's the best option for him if he doesn't. I think that's one of the options. Mugen,
but I think,
but at a very low rate, and then he's going to have to work and become a distributor and do that type of stuff and sell in Canada and do that type of stuff.
But that's exactly what Drake does too. Like, he's an OS driver, but he makes so much money off of like the whole engine thing,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe there's a Ty Testament engine thing. Who knows? It would be a shame if Ty Testament has to leave RC at 30 years old, because he still has years left in his tank to do well and win races, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I hope not. Now, Gord on the other issue, I think that, and this is no disrespect to Gord, I think that magic that he had, when they first, when Ty was young and all that stuff. And I'm not saying that Gord's not going to be influential in his career, but I don't think that Gord's going to get a job as a team man. I don't think no company is going to pay for Gord and him at the same time. Right now.
No.
I don't think. No, I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't think. And that's no disrespect. And maybe he wants to go out and get a regular job too. All this traveling around and all that type of stuff. And it's like, maybe he just wants to chill out and enjoy his family. And Ty's got a wife too, so he's got to provide for her, or if she has her own job. So it'd be interesting to see what happens. All right. That's enough about silly season for this podcast. We will talk. So coming up next on the next podcast will be X-Ray, Future of HB, Schumacher, Sparker, and Griner, who is maximum bullshit. Best quote ever. And if we get some silly season news in between now and recording, then we'll talk about that. So with that said, we are going to go forward. We're going to start recapping a couple of races that I went to, talk about my trip. And that is brought to you by Racetech RC Engines. Racetech Engines are sold by Clinic RC. Clinic RC has been a sponsor of the podcast for quite some time. If you want to check out some of their products, go check them out. They have plenty of titanium plus the Racetech engines that are getting 10 minutes plus runtime, says Tony Newman, telling me the other day. Check them out at clinicrc.com. And here's our commercial for them. Thank you to Clinic RC for their continued support. We have links for their shop in the written description of this podcast. All right, Max. So as you know, as I talked earlier, I went away for 5 weeks, 5 races in a row. And my first race was the Alabama Manufacturer Shootout. I believe this was the 14th version of this race. It is in Coleman, Alabama. Now, this is the second time that I've been to this race. So how it starts is my normal trip starts. I leave her at... It was 3 o'clock in the morning that my flight left, 4 o'clock, because we're 1 hour ahead of EST now. Arrived in Fort Lauderdale. Danny Paz picked me up. We drove right up to, that was Tuesday morning. We drove right up to Lake Park with Lance, packed this stuff up. And then we was on the road. We met up with Gene and Patrick. They drove to Lance's. And then we started the road trip up to Coleman. I love these road trips. It's lots of laughs. I didn't fall asleep. I just blinked really long. Everybody else did besides Lance. Nobody caught me sleeping. And we got ready to go up there because this is a full production race. This is where Lance takes his VIP tents. His we have all the well, actually, did he have to take his speakers and stuff? He had to take speakers and stuff. Yes, because we had to load that stuff up. And everything else. Even though he takes his extra speakers, I think he took his speakers. I can't remember. Anyway, but he sets up VIP tents. This is a full production for us as well. And I'm super excited about this race because it was having, for the first time, a big contingent of Europeans coming. We had Robert coming, Nicola from Hot Race wasn't racing. We had Juan Carlos Canas, Marco Barufalo. Who else am I missing? We had Pecco coming. JQ was there. Scott Walker was there, even though he's not a big time racer, but it was good to see. Juan Carlos Canas brought a friend from Spain with him, like his pit guy, but it was also racing. Salty Joe was going to be there. My new buddy Chemo, who's Salty, I call him Salty's nephew, and of course we had all the Mayako guys. So basically, I was getting to see all my friends that I haven't seen. Like I haven't seen JQ and this guy since IBC, but I got to see all those guys all in one spot and hang out with them for a little bit at this race. So I was really, really looking forward to that, and I got a chance to do that. So we pull up. Bobby and those guys are still building the track when we got there. We set up all our stuff. I was actually set up. So a lot of times people have to understand, I'm not even looking at the track. Most of the time, I'm not even looking at the track. I'm just looking at the screen. So I set up in like the hallway of a bathroom. And we got locked off, and I was there because I wanted to be out of the smoke and dust and stuff like that. And we got going. Like this is a long race because it starts Thursday, right? So you have Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and they did add extra. Classes this year, so they added a 40+ class. So that put even though it's capped, it's capped 30 entries per race, right? So each race went down to a C main. So that extra class put on like a extra 100 entries, which is fine. They have to make their money, but it made for longer days for everybody. So practice, this is the early race time event that has control practice, like fully controlled practice where you practice in your heats and all that type of stuff. So it's based off like a European race. And also the thing about this race is track time. You get double A finals, double lower finals for electric, triple A finals, 10-minute A finals for electric, 30-minute B mains for 30-minute lower mains, and then 45-minute A mains for all nitro classes. Plus, everybody gets a 10-minute Super Bowl race on Saturday.
Yeah.
So we did practice Friday, like I said, Thursday, and then people were able to practice Friday. They didn't practice another practice Friday. And I think we did. Did we do practice on Friday or did we go straight in? No, we did practice Thursday, then right into qualifying on Friday, if I remember. I mean, trust me, people are like, you don't remember? I don't remember. Yeah, I did a lot of races in between then and now. And that was 5 weeks ago. But the practice, so how qualifying works is qualifying only sets the grid for your Super Bowl race.
Yeah.
So if you qualified in that A sort, you're guaranteed to be in the A sort, but you could have TQ'd, and if you don't win your Super Bowl race, you start wherever you finished. You could break in your TQ race and have to start 13th. Also allow for traditional bump up. So it was 13 right through, 12 right through, one. No, how the heck did it go? It was
11. I think it was 11 or 12 straight through, then one bump up.
Right, and then three bump up from the lower mains. Yeah. So it ended up being 16 car mains in each race.
Yeah.
The track, I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's not that good. I thought it was great. I thought it made for great racing. It was fast. It held up good. Had that rhythm section going through the middle. AMS is it's not that much space, but it's got a good bit of dirt. So I think Bobby did a good job there. It was it wasn't as cold as I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be really cold there, but it was, sweat top and stuff like that. And so it was cool because I had never seen this Super Bowl thing that Lance had come up with. It's a Super Bowl race, not a traditional Super Bowl like we saw at Florida Copper Championships or we saw at RCGP or we see in On-Road, which I think is gone now, by the way. We need to talk about it in the next podcast. So FRCC made some rules about tires and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's like a 10-minute race. So everybody got a 10-minute race. And that I actually thought that was exciting Now, a lot of people didn't like that because they're like, well, I got this good qualifying position. Then my Super Bowl places me where I start. But the name of this game was track time. And if you ran 3 or more, if you ran 2 classes at this race, you got a lot of track time. If you ran 3 or more, you got so much track time. It was crazy.
Yeah. But I do think there's still some tweaks to be made to the like when you run the Super Bowl race or qualifying race, whichever name you want to call it. I think it's like there's no point in having that much quali. So instead of having 3 rounds of quali at 5 minutes, you could have like 2 rounds of quali, and that would be your seeding basically. So you'd have same as you do seeding normally. Like you could have like 3 rounds of free practice, then you could have 2 rounds of seeding, and then you'd go into the qualifying race. And you could even have like 2 qualifying races, or Super Bowls or whatever. So I think like still some tweaks because I'd much rather have more time racing out there than qualifying. And when the qualifying doesn't end up having that much effect on your final results, I think it's much better to have less of it.
Okay. Well, let's go over qualifying. We'll talk about Nitro Buggy JC3. That's his new name because he has 3 C's in his name. So it's JC3. And I told him your new name is Hota Setter. And he goes, why? I say you have 3 names, start with C. That's why. And he goes, oh, that makes sense. He came out swinging. I was like, oh man, I think this is gonna be JC3 the whole time. Lutz finished, so he had a 2, a 0, and a 10. Then Lutz came out. Lutz came out swinging too. He had a 4, a 5, and a 0. Then had a 0, 13, and 7. Mayfield was like in 4th. We were kind of seeing him. He had a 3, a 16, and a 5. The Iceman made a full of a 6, 3, 6. I'm just going through your top 11. Hackert had a 7, 10, and a 2. Tebow had an 11, 2, and 18. Wiggins had a 9, 24, 4. Rivkin, Saffendale, and Jonah Wilson. So that was your top 11 that qualified straight through to the A final, right? Now, I'm thinking that JC, like I'm telling you, like he looked right fast off the bat. This is his first time in the Southeast for him, first time in the Southeast for Robert. All those European guys, Pecco, everybody. And I have to say, every top racer was at this race besides Cavallari. So this had a full contingent of American racers and a good bit of the European racers. So this was the last big indoor race of the year, indoor 8-scale race of the year. It was absolutely stacked. At Nitro Truggy, it was Fenn, Mayfield, Canas, Spencer Rifkin, Tebow. Robert was driving a new Truggy there as well. And Pro E-Buggy, we had Canas, he TQ'd that. Fuller, Lutz, Fuller, Seth, Dakota. So both Fullers made it. That's good. Seth Van Dalen, Spencer Rifkin, Jonah Wilson, Jared Tebow, Ryan Mayfield, Bourne was squeaking in 11th. So that was really good. And of course, there was a big kerfuffle because JQ was running Nitro Buggy, right? Degani was there too. So people were complaining about that. But JQ actually took TQ of that, followed by Patrick Russell. Alex Lim, who is the South American champion, made the trip up, a Mayako driver, first race in America too. He was fast, but he struggled with, he was like, man, your camera finally went off. It was about time.
Yeah.
So he struggled a bit with traffic and all that stuff. I know racing in Europe and South America, everybody knows who his car was. But he was fast. And, Dylan Manchandler, the intermediate crowd was pretty good, I would say as well. So JQ was running 40 plus Nitro Buggy, and he didn't TQ that. Philip Otondo actually won that. He got a 0-0-2, and JQ got a 6-2 and 0. So JQ was running 40 plus and intermediate bug. This is important because people were mad at JQ because it's like he's a pro and he's running intermediate and blah blah blah. Well, JQ isn't a pro driver. He doesn't drive at a pro. He may have once been almost pro quality, but he's never been paid. And one of his reasons, the only reason he drove, so the reasons he done intermediate is because he was helping Paco and pro, right? And he couldn't do both. Because even though we had a bunch of entries, it was still very fast paced to program. Them guys didn't really have much time to breathe. I remember Robert's like, I need some time. It's going too fast, right? Well, that's funny because the Europeans usually are used to a little faster program. But it was, and not only that, there was a big Mayako team there, so he was constantly busy with people and helping people out and all that type of stuff. So it was decent, and then going into the qualifying, the Super Pools. Let me find that up here. Super Pools happened Saturday morning, so we had a bunch of Super Pool races, and in the end, it was I will have the. Let me look for it right here. In the end, oh, there we go. Super Pool. So we had 36 Super Pool races. I'm looking for Pro Nitro Buggy. In the end, I think it was Mason Fuller who ended up with the TQ overall over Juan Carlos Canas. Once I find it, I'll let you know. Here we go. Pro Nitro. Amen. So it was. Why doesn't it have it here? If everybody started, I want to see how it started. So I know Mason Fuller was starting first. I believe Mayfield was starting second. And why doesn't it have, it would have been great if we would have had I have it here. So Mason Fuller was first. Ryan Mayfield was second. JC3 was third. Rivkin was fourth. Spencer Rifkin, Jonah Wilson, Dakota Fend, Ryan Lutz, Spencer Hackett, Joe Bornhorst, Jeff. Oh, so it was 12. I apologize. So 12 went up and 13 went. 3 more bumped up. Tebow just squeaked in. He actually okay. So I'm just going through so anyway, Mason Fuller started on pole. I was just going through the results there from the Super Bowl. And I was like, when he started in pole, dude, he was so fast in his Super Bowl. I was like, I think this is going to be. I said this race is going to be between Juan Carlos Canas and Mason Fuller. I swore it was going to be between those two guys because that's just how fast they were. Like, Juan Carlos Canas was fast the entire weekend, and then but Mason Fuller kind of just pipped him at the end. And I was like, all right, I think this is going to be Mason Fuller's breakout race. I really thought it was going to be. We started the race here. Let me go back. For those of you watching this on our YouTube, you can go to Race Time Entertainment and check out their YouTube page. And you can watch the whole race in better quality than you can here. If you're watching online, you can watch it as well. So here's the start. So the start of this race, right? I'm not going to lie. As soon as Mason took off, these two kind of broke away. And I was like, and there you see some kerfuffle back there. I was like, oh man. As soon as I saw Mayfield hounding him like this, I kind of knew that Mayfield was going to win this.
Yeah.
I don't know. Go ahead.
Mayfield is a little bit of a weird one because he's always not that impressive in qualifying, but then for some reason when the main starts, if he's on it, he's like really on it, Whereas because Canas looked by far the best in both buggy classes, like right up until like this point, Like Super Bowl, he kind of messed up in Nitro, and then like he only ended up finishing, was he fourth on Nitro buggy, so he didn't even make the podium in Nitro buggy at the end. Which was surprising, but yeah, Mayfield took off, and I mean, Fend was at the end, like Fend ended up quite close to him, but from the get-go, it seemed like Fuller was kind of holding up Mayfield here, and after that, it was kind of like Mayfield and Fend show right until the end. But yeah,
I think
Fuller
that's either JCC or JC3 or Lutz right behind him. No, it's Lutz because Lutz was on it too. Lutz was fast. When I saw, I watched Mason do his Super Bowl and he was driving much better than this. It's like he went into instant defense mode right here.
Yeah, I think so too.
And look at Mayfield. He is like, I am gonna chop you down like I'm gonna chop you down. And he was just I will be honest. This is the first race all year that I'm seeing Mayfield look so confident right off the get-go race. I've seen him go be mid-pack and come through, But to be this confident right at the start of, I mean, look, he is right on, and Lutz is coming too, but Lutz makes a mistake. And I'm like, oh, I knew at like right away, Mayfield's going to take this, and I thought it was just going to be a complete runaway. Now, I did think that at some point, there's Juan Carlos Canas with the White Wing. I thought he would make a charge for it as well, and it just never materialized. He was fast all weekend, but something was off in his man. Mayfield made one of his very few mistakes, but I was like, okay, maybe Fuller's going to pull away down. Nope, because Lutz is right behind him. Mayfield was able to just pull away from guys and just chase down Mason and overtake him and win this race. It was and then afterwards he just goes, this was the best techno car I've had. And near the end, I thought that, like you said, I thought Dakota Fenn was going to chase him down because he was coming. He was chasing him down. But then Fenn just made too many mistakes, right? And that just ended up giving, I think, a well-deserved victory in Pro Nitro Buggy to Ryan Mayfield. I mean, he drove him very well here in this main. He kind of put himself, his Super Pearl was good. I think he started second. So he found something later on in this race. And I'm going to say this, man. I'll say Truey was there, right? Truey was his pit man. I said, every time I see Mike Truey show up to a race with Mayfield, I know I'm not saying it isn't serious any other time, but it's like, yeah, it's a good chance he might win this race with Mike Truey in his pits. I'm not saying that nobody else pits him good, but I think having Truey there just gives him that extra confidence as well. Because Drake wasn't at this race either. So well done to Techno, well done to Mayfield for winning this race. JC3, first time over in the USA. He finishes third. So let's go through the running order. Sorry. So it was Ryan Mayfield. Then it was Dakota Fenn in second. Mason Fuller held on to third. Another great top three. But I really want to see the Iceman win a race. It's coming, but it's been coming for a while now. It's got to happen. Juan Carlos Canas was in fourth. A great top five for Ryan Lutz. Spencer Heckert, sixth. I didn't even realize. I forgot that they finished sixth. Spencer Rifkin, seventh. Jonah Wilson probably got the biggest compliment from JQ anybody's going to get from JQ. I asked JQ who was the most impressive driver he was impressed with this year, and it was Jonah at this race, and it was Jonah Wilson. So well done, Jonah Wilson. You impressed me all year, but you impressed JQ enough where he mentioned your name. That is, JQ compliments come very few and far between. So Big Joe Bornhorst was in 9th, Jared Wiggins 10th, Seth Van Dalen 11th, Joey Bernardo for solid performance in making the A main in 12th. A solid performance from Caden Fuller making the A main in 15th. Brandon Rose, unfortunate, in 14th. Jared Tebow having a stinker for his last. He considered this a stinker, finishing 15th for his last big race in his career. Well, I'm not saying it's going to do any more big races, but his official last big race as a top pro. And then Techno's Cole Caston in 16th. You know who's missing from this list? Cole Ogden.
Yeah, he didn't make the main, right?
Let's see. Let's see what happened with him.
I think he
finished 17th in qualifying.
Yeah, I think he just didn't make the main.
Yep. Him, Tyler Jones, Taylor Sontag, Lee Setzer. I'm surprised he didn't make it in. He didn't bump in. Oh, did he? I don't know. Let's go back here.
No, Setzer wasn't in the main.
Yeah. So that guy's kind of disappointed not making the main, I would say. Taylor Sontag.
But I think I do have to say
Robert didn't make the main. Tessman didn't make the main.
Yeah. Yeah, also Tessman last race with X-Ray not making the main.
Hey, but Ruffalo had a stinker. He broke almost every race or something happened. His engine happened, and then he was in Truggy though. He was flying. He was absolutely flying. So here's this track was very interesting because it didn't really get rough. It grooved up almost instantly. It was dusty, but not as dusty. They did blow it. It had I think it was because I like that middle section. I like this section as well. It was a lot of 180s and just kind of like super crossy, which we come to expect. This little section right here where they're going around, that little pipe caught so many people off guard, Max. I saw so
Yeah.
many people turn into that pipe on the 180. And yeah, it was a good race, man. I enjoyed it. It was a little bit long because it did go to like 1:30 on Sunday or 1 o'clock Sunday. Man, it was a long day of calling. I made a mistake by not taking a break.
Yeah.
And by the time it came around to like the intermediate mains and the pro mains, I was so tired. Like my voice was gone. I was tired. Like when I'm talking, like right here, just all that talking just made right here hurt. So congratulations to those guys. Let's just stop this for a second. Let's have a look at Truggy real quick because I think these guys did pretty good. So Truggy, we saw. I'm just going through some of the results. I want to bring up JQ's main as well. Truggy, Pro Nitro Truggy. We saw Dakota Fenn take the win, followed by Ryan Mayfield. Ryan Lutz, another good performance by him, top 3. Mason Fuller, Joe Bornhorst, Jared Tebow had a good run in 6. Spencer Rifkin, Cole Ogden made the main, Tessman made the main, Robert made the main in that prototype. Spencer Hackett, Lee Setzer, JC3 didn't finish his race. Brandon Rose, Wiggins, and Barufalo was out after 8 minutes. And I believe in E-Buggy, after the triple mains were done, we saw that it was Juan Carlos Canassi who had 1-1, so he didn't race the last one. Spencer Rifkin with a 3:11 and a second. Mason Fuller, even though he didn't get a win, a solid weekend of 3s. You know?
Yeah.
Ty Tessman in 4th, Dakota Fenn 5th, Tater Sontag 6th, Mayfield 7th, Lutz 8th, Little Bump 9th, Bornhorst 10th, Caden Fuller 11th, Jared Wiggins, Brandon Rose, Stephen Dale, and Jonah Wilson, and Jared Tebow. All right, but you know what? We have to talk about JQ's epic failure in his intermediate main. So he did win 40 plus. He did win 40 plus. Now that was his mission. Did you hear his interview afterwards?
Yeah, it was great.
My dream in life has
come true.
My dream come true to win 40 plus. I've been preparing my whole life for this. I finally came true. Blah, 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 blah. Hey, it was so epic. He won 40 plus. He ran on this in a high. An intermediate is no joke at these races, right? Intermediate stacked. And he went into intermediate, and where did he finish? He ended up finishing second, right? He was just behind.
Second. Patrick won.
Yes. So Patrick won, Captain America. I think we're going to name a national day of heroism for him for beating JQ in America. Well done, Patrick. But it came down because Pecco was doing impeccable pits, by the way, right? So Pecco was doing great fuel stops with the fuel gun, and then Gene was doing great fuel stops with a fuel bottle for Patrick. Patrick was running very short on fuel. So he had to come in for a splash and dash at the end of this to finish it, right? So JQ made a couple mistakes in this race that cost him his race. One was he overshot I think he came up on pit lane and then fell off pit lane, if I remember correctly, right? If I remember correctly, he fell off pit lane and then he had to go another lap. At one point, also, I think he missed Pecco in one of his pits as well, if I'm not mistaken. So there's JQ. He's still in first. And we have 8 minutes to let's see if we can watch the last few minutes of this epic failure. Now, I'm on her. You know, JQ, I'm gonna give him shit all the time because that's all he does is he gives me shit everything I do, right? So I'm watching him. I'm like, I know his epic failure is coming at some point. At some point, JQ is gonna, just like it was in Buggyland. At some point, JQ is gonna screw it up, right? So he's got the win. He's got like a pretty decent lead over these guys, and of course, in typical JQ fashion, he overshoots. He misses his fuel tank or something. He runs out of fuel. Now he says, "This is the funny thing about it. How many times have people told JQ the brakes on the car are problems, right? Well, not that are problems, but they don't like them. His brakes acted up. He lost brakes. He said the link came out. The man who does all this mechanicing and all this type of stuff.
Oh shit!
He lost brakes. Huh?
Pecco even fell running down to the pits.
Oh, I missed that. Hold on, let's go back.
Go back
I need
a
to
little
go
bit.
see that.
He flamed out in the beginning of the straight. It was like just now.
Hold on.
Yeah, just a
Right.
bit before.
This is when he ran out of
there you
fuel.
can see. Yeah, he runs out of fuel at the beginning of the straight. Like you can see the camera is now following him, and he just like slowly flames out. And now he's at the beginning of the straight, runs out of fuel. 44 to go, and then like next up you see Pecco run. Yeah, you hear Pecco running with the car. He even almost face plants into the concrete wall.
Yeah, Pecco almost broke that wall.
Yeah.
I could imagine all the cuss words that were coming out in Finnish right now. Because you know how, if you ever pitted JQ, the guy is a nervous wreck when stuff like this happens. He must have been freaking out. And there goes Patrick now. Patrick had to come in for one more fuel stop. JQ would have been cool for this. But yeah, JQ said that the brakes went on his car and this and whatnot. And he didn't win intermediate, man. So all that noise that people were making about him being intermediate, he didn't make it. And congratulations to Patrick Rossler. Patrick was super happy about winning this race. He was like, people, let me tell you, when he won, there was like a big round of applause in the stadium for it. People were just happy that JQ didn't win. To be fair, though, JQ was very fast. I will say this: JQ drove very well at this race. Like he drove very well for a guy that hasn't had really much practice, or and JQ loves practice.
He hasn't practiced at all since like the very beginning of the year. Like even like he didn't practice at all during the summer. He only like raced at Boggyland and the 40 plus Euros. But he hasn't practiced at all. He's every time he went to testing, Pecco was driving. So, like, he hasn't driven at all.
Oh yeah, it was awesome. I enjoyed it. Like I said, I enjoyed the race. It was just a little bit long. I was happy to go see all my friends and all that type of stuff. It was good to see some good racing as well. I mean, to be fair, I kind of wanted the A finals of Nitro Buggy didn't really. There's JQ, there's Patrick right there. They give a little fist bump. Patrick goes, "It's okay, good buddy. Don't worry. You'll win one day." Oh, man. It was fun on that sense. It was good to see all my friends. I think it was a good event. I think it was successful for the race time guys as well. Whereas I know that this race, they went to this new capped entry, the new system, all that type of stuff, and it struggled the first couple of years that it had it. So hopefully they continue to do it this way. Like I said, there can be some fine tune adjustments made as well to it, like you were saying. But people like to get their 3 qualifiers as well. I'm sure, like any race, some people like it, some people don't. You can't please everybody, and it was good. But this was the first race of my trip out there. And it was good to see the Europeans. It was very good to see the Europeans come to the Southeast.
Yeah, I think that's exactly like what like people maybe don't realize, that like races like DNC and PMB, where you get so little track time and at such different times, it's really, really difficult to come overseas, It's like,
and it's not a guaranteed race.
Yeah, that too. Like for example, the NCAA, it's rained out now, 4 years in a row?
Well, not rained out, but you know what I mean.
I mean, you've skipped at least like a few rounds of practice, or even qualifying, or even the whole race from being run on a different track, like it happened last time out.
Yeah, and it was also a treat for the Southeast racers to see something different as well. They got to see these Europeans. Obviously, JC3 is running hot. He's a European champion now. So that was good for them to see. Robert, JQ, like even JQ was shocked. He was like, man, a lot of people came up and talked to him about his course and all that type of stuff. See, the Southeast races a lot. That Southeast East Coast, they race a lot. And now we counted it. They have, with the race time events, Mark Moon's events, and Brent's 2 events, we have 8 big races, or 8 indoor or under a roof races in the Southeast going into next year. And it was 8 this year. So people like the guaranteed effect. I know I talked to Nicola. He said he might come back to SIC, which is their next race next year. I know Dave, because PNB is his baby. That's what he loves. It's the biggest race. He wants the Europeans to come as well. I'm trying to get them to come as well. I know like guys like Runnerfolk said he might come for PNB. People have interest in going to PNB as well, but we'll see how it goes. It's just in the middle of like a lot of races. It's like IBC, PNB, and then yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that like the issue with those races is just that like really difficult to come from overseas, you know, because you basically have to go there, you have to have the right tires, you have to have the setup, and then you just race, which is what the Americans do, because they race on these like Bobby's tracks and like the East Coast road tracks all the time. They know what works.
And well, Hot Race found something that works, because Nicola. That's one of the reasons Nicola came over there. Oh, Marco Rossi was there too.
Yeah,
he was there help, which I think that's why I was glad to see companies like Hot Race and Reds come over there. They came and saw, you know, when you think of American races, obviously DNC, Silver State, PNB is included, but the Europeans majority go to DNC and Silver State. Well, they both got to see that there's a big market in the Southeast and that people race a lot. And I think it was very good for their brands. I think Nicola said SIC. I'm imploring European guys, come to SIC, or at least come to, let's come to PNB. If you can get some coming there, that'd be great as well, because that's the biggest race. And I think we'll see them coming more. Obviously, so, you know, and not everybody can be happy, but I think it was a great race. It was fun. You got lots of track time. It did go a little long. I just looked at the race time. It went, the last man was at 12:34. But when you have that entrance, you have that much runtime, something has to struggle, right? And it was that. And I just wanted to shout out to a few other people who did really well. So that young girl, Bella, she ran Nitro for the first time, right? And she actually did very well. And it's two young girls in the Southeast that are doing really well in RC. It's Mad Maddie Long, who's really good. She's like 13, and she races a lot and races almost everything. And then the girl Bella, who's a little older, she raced a lot of electric, but now she's racing. She just started racing the, you know, like she's a very good e-buggy racer and all that type of stuff, and Nitro and e-truggy racer, but now she's running Nitro, and she had a very good, solid weekend of Nitro racing, in my opinion. And so did Miss and look, like, this is a whole different class. It's stacked, right? It's a lot of people there. It's not easy, and she did pretty well, man. Maddie Long finished 8th in the e-buggy mains, and Bala finished 4th over on e-truggy, sorry. And I'm trying to see where they finished in electric e-buggy as well. I think they almost, did she make the, hold on, let me check real quick. Okay, I am mistaken. I thought she made the, oh no, she did. She finished 10th overall in Nitro, which was very good for Bala. So congratulations to her. Always good to see females racing as well. And she, and the young girl, Maddie Long, man, she's fast. I watch her race a lot this year. So good to see Sefesto nice. Funny thing about the intermediate truggy class. So Juan Jose Serna, he started like in the D main of intermediate and bumped all the way to the A main. So he got 30. He got like almost 120 minutes of runtime. And then in the truggy main, he was so angry. He was so angry. In the truggy main, he was in 3rd or 4th. Yeah. And then he broke his truck on the last couple of corners, right? And then the turn marshal picked him up and then put him over by the line. Like, I don't know if there's someone to get it, and he ran across the line. And then he was still mad. He got awarded 4th, right? Because he didn't finish the race under his power. Oh man, yeah. He was talking to me in Spanish, and like he was so angry. I didn't even understand what he was saying in Spanish. But in the end, he didn't really have much. The only person he had to be angry was at himself because he broke, right? But man, he was big mad about that. It was a good race. And then on the Sunday, So Sunday night we're packing up, and it's like 1 o'clock in the morning. And Cole's out there blowing up bloody fuel cans, VP fuel cans. And I'll never forget, JQ's walking, and it went boom, and you saw JQ jump, and it's like, Cole, like he was scolding him like a older. What the hell are you doing, Cole? That's JQ. Is that your scared voice? It was fun, man. I enjoyed seeing my friends. I enjoyed seeing everybody there. And I thought it was a good last of the year race for people. Like when I say last big 1/8 scale race. And congratulations to Mayfield, man. He absolutely killed it. And I think he goes into 2024 on a very high note with that win. And he just also recently won at the US Open, which we're going to talk about. All right, Max. So that was my first race of that trip. Then I did Florida Carpet Championships right after that, but we're going to talk about that in the next podcast. And after Florida Carpet Champs was the FRCC race, which I done. Now, this racetrack, out of all of them that I went to, was the track that I wanted to race the most for some reason. Like I wanted to take some laps on. I never got to because it rained, and during practice, so practice was cut down short. And also we had Thanksgiving dinner there. For the first time I ever had Thanksgiving in America. It was fun. I want to say thank you to everybody that came out and bought food. So we got there, Lance and I got there on a Wednesday, and then like the rest of everybody came Thursday. And people this is a 1-day race. It has practice on the Friday, but it's usually a 1-day race where you have practice in the morning. Dude, people start showing up for these races on Thursday. That's how popular it is. Now, this race was not as so, it didn't sell out completely, but it had a good bit of entries, a good bit of people there. But for Thanksgiving, the week after Thanksgiving was very good, I thought. And it was fun. And we did full coverage for it. It rained. So like the track crew was working on the track all Friday morning. We got on the track about 5 o'clock that night, and people practiced till about 11. I really like this track. I'm trying to find the footage of it, but it's like I can't find it on freaking on whatchamacallit at the moment. But they did a really good job of joining this, and this was the last, like I said, this was the last race of the series, race 7, and a lot of points came down to it. A lot of the points came down to the end. So Trent and Julian were battling it out for Pro Nitro Buggy and E-Buggy, I believe. Julian ended up winning it. He won both E-Buggy and Nitro Buggy at this race. In Pro, Trent was pretty good as well. He finished second, I believe. He drove well, and I think Julian won the overall. This young kid, well, not young, but this kid, JP Saints, he's in his teens. Dude, he was driving intermediate, and this guy drove so well in E-Buggy and Nitro Buggy. It was amazing. I was like, dude, I'm watching you race a few times now. That's the best I've ever seen you drive. It was awesome, man. It was a great experience. It was the final. Lance has put up all the results on his page, on the Florida RC Championships page. I just wanted to shed some love on this because I had the honor of attending 3 of these races. Now, the first race I went to was in Mills Pond. It was I didn't do commentary, I just did interviews and was just hanging out. And then my walkabouts. The second race was at Epic, and then this third one was at Callan RC Raceway, which is just outside of Jacksonville. And I enjoyed all 3 of them that I attended. And I'm going to a few next year, and I'm probably going to do some remote commentary for a couple. But I have to reiterate, I think this is one of, if not the best 1/8 scale series that we have. It is amazing how sells out. Sorry. I think people love it. People care about the points. I've said this over again. It has full coverage, like commentary, interviews with, that's what I was brought on to do. Pictures, moving cameras, all that type of stuff. And it was quite an honor to be a part of this year. I want to thank Lance for that. I want to thank all of the Florida RC community that supported me to come there as well. And also, I forgot to say this, but I want to say thank you to Dave and everybody at Racetime Entertainment for having me there as well to do commentary on Alabama Manufacturer Shootout. I look forward to doing SIC. That wouldn't have been possible without all the support from everybody out there. So that was 2 races that the AMS race plus the Florida RC Championships that I was a part of this year. I was super happy to be a part of all of that and it was absolutely awesome. Thank you all for that support and that opportunity. All right, Max. If I left anything out of those races, I apologize. It's been a long time, and they happened like 3 weeks ago. No, so I do apologize for that. All right, Max. So I think we're going to touch on the 12 scale worlds. I'm not going to go too deep into this because I actually will be talking about this. I'm doing a recap of if Fat Jesus or Hefty, Mike Hanalak, who was there. Oh my God, he is insane. He was making me laugh the entire weekend. So, as you guys know, the last race of my trip was going to be back at Beachline Raceway in Cocoa Beach. It was for the 112 IFMAR 112 scale on-road carpet. Well, I guess it's just on-road. They run on carpet. On-road 12 scale world championships. Now, we've talked a little bit about 12 scale here. It's a very niche of a niche in our very niche sport. I went in there completely blind, not knowing anything about it. And I came out of there a fan of it and learning a lot about it. I met a lot of cool, awesome new people. So I'll just start out that, after our race, I'm actually got this on the computer now. So after our race at Lake Waccamaw, which was Fall Bro, which I'll touch on in the next podcast, we headed straight on. We didn't even go anywhere else. We went from Fall Ball right down to Beachline in Florida. Now, we had already been to Beachline 2 weeks prior to that for the Florida Carpet Championships, which that man you just saw won as well. But we'll talk about that in the other podcast. So I was a little bit nervous. This is a Worlds. This is not my element, but I knew people there. Like I knew Alexander Hagberg. I got to meet him, which was great. For the first time, we've been friends for quite a long time, and to meet him. And one of the first, so it was pretty cool because Hefty introduced me to he's the Awesomatics USA importer. So he introduced me to all the Awesomatics guys. I met Max Maschler. Do you know Maschler? Max, have you met him?
I have never met him, but obviously I know of him, because he's been I'd say he's been like the main guy of Awesomatics in the sense of public outreach. Mm-hmm. So I obviously know of him, but I've never met him in person. I've never raced on road.
Okay, so this class, so I did a little bit of research. So this class was the second class. 12 scale is very old. It was the second class in 1982 or 83 that had a world championship. First it was like 1/8 scale on road, but the first time they raced 12 scale, which was the second class at world championship, was 1982, I believe. And I want to say Tony Neisinger won it. So they have a 13.5 at this race. They had a 13.5 stock spec class, and they had the mod class. Now the 13.5 spec class was the biggest class there. So it was only about 70 something entries at this race, but spec class had 6 heats, whereas mod had 2.5. And in the end, they just wanted on to 2. A few guys didn't make it. Like a few guys from a lot of people that went to the 2020 Worlds. Now the last time they had this World Championship was in 2020. Was in Milton Keynes in that mall where they have the British GP, right?
Yeah.
So they haven't had a Worlds due to COVID 3 years later. Now, I don't know the health of 12 scale in America or around the world, but it definitely had a bigger attendance in Europe, right? I was actually watching. Yeah. You guys want to learn a little bit more about this? You can go to Track Rats, RC Track Rats on YouTube or Facebook. They did a podcast. It's the Mangler, Monty, and Mike Hefty, Fat Jesus, who did this. So that's their podcast. Sorry. So for me, just coming to something new, offer it. Coming to something new was refreshing, right? Something new. I've never seen this. I watched this on television. I've watched it on, I've watched it on, whatchamacallit, but to actually get there and actually see it and see the speed that these cars do was absolutely freaking amazing, man. They are exceptionally fast and handle incredibly. And they're so tiny, right? So Beachline built a beautiful track. It was huge too. Did you have a look at the track at all?
Oh yeah, I followed the whole thing.
Okay.
Pretty much.
So according to the guys there, this track was bigger than what That track should have been a typical track is about 3/4 the size of that track that we saw.
Yeah.
So
it's like 12 scale, especially. It's not. The tracks are very different from touring tracks. So touring cars, they usually have more flowing tracks. Like they need more space. Obviously, bigger cars, they're not as agile. But like these cars, sort of the style has always been very technical. The point of these cars isn't to have a track where you just flow around the corners, because the corner speeds of these things are just insanely fast. Like it's like it's hard to explain it, but like
it's
going
freaking
from
fast, dude.
yeah, like when you drive a two-wheel drive buggy on dirt and then go to carpet, that feels like crazy fast. Well, this is like that times 10. It's insane. Like when you're driving these cars around the track, you are not reacting to anything. You have a rhythm. It's almost like slot cars in a sense, where you have a rhythm.
It is
and you
like
do
slot
that,
cars.
Yeah, it's insane. And like the spec class, those are more controllable because
and they're still fast, dude.
they are still like the spec cars are a little bit weird because they go as fast in the corners as they go in the straight, pretty much.
Yes, yes. So
it's crazy.
So I wanted to say congratulations to the Beachline crew. They had, when it comes to a Worlds, like this is my second Worlds I've attended, everything was thought of. They had signs everywhere. They had media spots. They had, they had their tech open. They had outdoor pitting for truing tires. So you had to true tires outside, so you weren't getting rubber dust all over the place. It was very well organized. So shout out to Robbie Michaels, Danny Chavez, and all the guys who organized this. It was super good. Like they had all their I's dotted and all their T's crossed. They did a great job. So this is the first race under the new IFMAR, right? So it was the new IFMAR, by the way, is Eric Anderson, who actually raced at this race. He wasn't there as an IFMAR official, by the way. He was just there as a racer. But he's going to be a new president. I got to meet him. Tim Caporal was the person in charge. And then they were the only two officials from IFMAR. Vander. So this is the new IFMAR. I'm going to go off the new IFMAR is EA, Caporal, Vander, Clive from over in Femke, and Bob Ingersoll. So it's 3 Americans, 1 European, and 1 guy from Femke. Very on-road heavy, but that's fine. It's better than what we had. We had 2 officials from EFRA who I got to meet. One was an Englishman. I can't remember his name. The other gentleman was from Belgium. I guess they're 12 scale specialists. So they actually didn't really have to do much. They said my job as her is to do of any protests, right? Clayton was there as the referee. He was in the driver's stand for every race from Roar. And I just say that they run a very flawless program, in my opinion. I listened to other races as well. But dude, I will say this, dude. They had a lot of practice at this race. I mean, Danny always, because Danny's worked with like a lot, the FRCC championship there in Florida, on-road championship, and it's like Keenan at on-road races, because obviously they don't have a high entry count. You get lots of practice. Dude, these guys had 8-minute practice sessions. They had 2. So it started on Tuesday. They had 2 on Tuesday, 2 on Wednesday. Then they started qualifying Thursday. And before they started qualifying, everybody got an 8-minute practice session.
Yeah, and it's not only because they have low entry count, it's also a lot down to the fact that like on-road is really it's really down to the setup, of the cars.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's kind of always been the case. And then, because times have changed and, people have people have went on to different things, then it's gotten smaller, but like it used to be, for example, TITC, one of the most famous touring car races in the world, like that used to be that people went there 2 weeks beforehand just to practice. It had like open practice for like a week or 2 before the race, So like that's a little bit from the on-road world, the practice, but yeah, it's
okay. Well, that's fine. Yeah. That's fine. I understand that this is so much setup required. I learned a lot watching these guys, and people were very kind enough to explain a lot of things. Obviously, Alex explained a lot. I'm actually watching A1. That's Kemp Anderson, who was absolutely flying. He lost this. He lost the world. But I will, and like the guys at Alex taught me some stuff, and it was good to learn, right, about a whole new class. Because honestly, I went in there knowing absolutely nothing about this. So I had to, dude, this was. I figured it out by Friday, by Thursday, how things were going. But man, I had to learn so much about this, like learning different drivers. And I went around. I took a lot of time to go around the pits and talk to people, learn different things, and I figured it out by the end of the day. But it was just, I really enjoyed getting to know everybody in this. I met Mark Reinhardt. At first, he's a little bit, cold, I would say, when I first met him the first day, but he warmed up by the end of the week, and then I met a lot of the spec racers. But me and Max Meschler kind of hit it off right off the bat. And I don't know, he just, because he says, yeah, I watched a lot, and I was shocked. I was found out that these guys watch our channel. I was shocked that they did.
Yeah, it's really like, it's funny because even in Finland, when I go to the track, like almost every other guy is like, oh yeah, I listened to the podcast, you talked about this, like what's going on with this, like is it happening or whatever. So it's kind of weird, but there's a lot of people like all around the world listening.
Yeah. So like I said, I'm not going to go into too deep in this because I'm planning on doing a whole podcast for this, but I just want to say that if you haven't had a chance, go watch some of the racing, because qualifying was great in spec class. I met Mark Stiles. I remember last time that me and that guy Mark Stiles had a vicious argument on Afro Facebook page, right? And then I met him, and he was fast in his spec class. Him and Max Meschler, it actually went on to a Q6, right? Because Meschler won 3, and then did he run?
Yeah, they split it 3 and 3.
Yeah, but it came down to a tiebreaker, and Meschler won it, right? And then I think that's kind of when it set in, because you saw Meschler come off the stage and he was crying, right? Yeah. He was so overcome by emotions. I was like, wow, this is the World Championships, like being emotional like this, being he was just so excited and so happy to do that. And he wasn't afraid to talk about it, right? And that was good to see. And then Mark Stiles drove so well. Another guy that drove really well was this guy, Robbie Dodge, an X-ray driver from America. He was good. Like, the spec class had so much competition because it was bigger, right? It was a lot more stacked competition than the 12th, than the mod. And then even in the racing, I think Meschler did in 2, or did he do it in 1? He did it in 2. No, if I remember. He did it in 3?
No, Meschler, they split it. So
see, I tell you, I forget things so fast.
Yeah, but basically, Meschler ran away with the first one, but it did become close. There was a point where there was right next to each other. Meschler kind of ran away with it at the end, but A2 there was tied at the beginning. Meschler with a mistake.
Oh yeah, and then Styles got it. I remember now. Yep.
But the A3 like Max ran away with it again.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the mains, they was much more exciting in modified, to be honest. But I mean, in spec, they was tight, but in modified, like you can see here, this is the A1, like Kemp's leading, and top 3 are like within half a second. It doesn't half a second, but like these cars, this is the point where Orlowski hits the side of the track. I don't know if he had something go tweaked or if he lost a bit of his tire or something, but he seemingly lost pace after this and lost rear grip, it seemed. So yeah, Mark got by, and then he went on to challenge Kemp at the end of the A1. But
yeah, this was such a great race. That was such an amazing race. But the qualifying was good too, because this qualifying got split between 3 races. So Reinhardt took 2, Orlowski took 2, and then Kemp took 2. And then I remember in his final TQ run in Q6, he got into the lead, and I heard Hefty Fat Jesus go, "Don't ease up!" Like he shouted at him, "Don't ease up!" And he went on, and it came down to a tiebreaker, and he actually got the pull. And you see, he killed her in A1. Like he just drove, and this guy was the complete different from Meschler. He's 21, right? He was like a cyborg, no emotions. Yeah, I just won, and blah blah blah. His dad was, more emotional because his dad's a good racer as well, right? His dad actually finished 5th over on Spec, Eric EA, but this guy had zero emotion. Like even when he lost, he's just like, that happens and blah 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 and and whatnot. And then of course in A2, go ahead.
Yeah, I think this run is like people probably don't really understand it, but Reinhard, Orlowski, and Hackberg, they have been like the top 3 like Pankar drivers for quite a while now. Obviously, like Matsugura has been like the number 1 guy for the beginning of the 21st century. He won like 3 or 4 world championships of it, but Reinhard also won 1. Like it's not like these guys come here and just randomly race 12 scale, but these like Reinhard has won the 12 scale title like twice before.
Yep. So, and he was the reigning world champion again.
Yeah. So the fact that Kemp Anderson, like, yeah, he's probably known to the American touring / Pankar crowd, but like these guys like haven't been able to compete against the Europeans and the Japanese in on road for a long time. There hasn't been an American driver like Kevin Hebert probably was the only guy who has been able to, even at some level, put a little bit of pressure on the Europeans, but not ever like this, where Kemp after A1, Kemp looked like the guy to beat. He was faster than both of these guys. He looked comfortable. He's starting on pole. Yeah, it came down to a very unlucky end, but yeah. I mean, I think like this is what Kemp did is like really difficult to do. Like it's absolutely not like a small feat.
No, absolutely. It was amazing, right? And then you could feel the excitement, right? And by the way, I forgot to say this. Congratulations to Max Marshall on winning his back class. He was absolutely emotional after that. As he was like, all this hard work. He had been in America. He had been on the road for 5 weeks. He told me he went to China, over there, over to, he had been in America. Because a lot of these guys went to the Scottish race, the Cleveland race, the US Indoor Championships, because they have the on-road version, then the 10 scale version. We'll touch on the off-road on the next podcast. But he went out there and he just kind of, he was so emotional because of all the hard work he's put in. And he said, I'm not a racer here for there you see Kemp, he's just emotional. It's like no smile, no nothing. It's like, yeah. I'm not here as a racer. I'm here as, I work for Awesomatics, right?
Yeah.
So we're gonna look at this. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah. So here's the start of the man. Yep. He made a big mistake here. So a lot of people were talking online about this, but you can see that he just went wide.
Yeah.
And this is where he lost the race. He went wide, and then that was it. And this is where
that was A2. Yeah. Yeah, Orlowski
and Reinhardt had a vicious battle in this too.
Yeah, I mean, all of the modified mains. Well, like A3 wasn't that exciting, but A1 and A2 were both like high-end nail biters. These were good races, and obviously, like from here on out, from the first corner out, where Kemp kind of goes wide and then ends up tangling with Orlowski. That was just unlucky for both of them. But yeah, Kemp made a mistake, and then it ended up costing a little bit too much for both. But yeah, no, I don't think anyone was really at fault there. But yeah, then from here on out, it's just straight up racing for 8 minutes between Reinhardt and Orlowski.
Oh yeah, so Orlowski made a great pass on him, and it was the thing I noticed about this was like, in off-road, you make a little mistake, you're able to kind of get back. Not in this, dude. You make a little misjudgment, it's like that's it. That guy's gonna be on you like that.
Yeah.
And pass you. So A2 was super exciting as well, and then A3, like everybody's good up. Like so I get it. Like this is in America, it's a Worlds in America, it's 12 scale. No, I think Barry Baker said no American racer has TQ'd a Worlds, any on-road world, electric on-road world, since Mike Swagger did it back in 1996.
Yeah.
Or something like that. So this is a big deal. Like you said, the Europeans and Japanese have dominated this class for a very long time. So we have this young kid, father of a national champion in America. You know, they have their own track up there in Tennessee, in Murfreesboro. They were her, like, and this was his chance, right? He made that mistake in A2, so he was ready for this epic A3. And I was so devastated when this happened because it was just, I didn't think this was going to happen, right? So they're getting ready to start.
It's such an unbelievable thing to happen, but
I know. Yeah. So here's the start. We're getting ready to start.
I couldn't believe it when I saw this.
You know, I'm all geared up for this epic race to come up, and then this happens. I haven't even watched it. Yep. Ooh, I didn't realize it's so bad because I watched it, but then I was focused on Orlovsky. Let's watch that again. Oh man, that was
rough.
Man,
so basically, for anyone who didn't read,
anybody who's listening to this or didn't watch it, this is what happened. Kemp meant to go and his car didn't go.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, from what I heard, and what Kemp said too, it wasn't like Reinhardt speculated that it was the auto off setting that Hobbywing has, but it wasn't it because the car was still on when they went to pick it up. So something else had gone wrong, and there's a picture floating around of Kemp because he had to at the end he had to retire from A2 because he fell all the way back to the grid, and he came up a little bit, but then in the end he had to retire. And there's a picture of his car stuck under a pipe. It's like it's like flat, like the body is destroyed, like everything's just flat under a pipe. And my theory is that
something happened there.
Something happened there because like that kind of issue, usually it's the sensor or a sensor wire or something like that. So it's very likely that the sensor wire was pulled or clipped a little bit in that crash that happened in A2. It wasn't on screen, but like later on when he had to retire, and that caused that issue in A3. So very, very unlucky, very unlucky.
I would say so. All right, so we're gonna finish up here. We're gonna have a look at just what happened at the end. Orlovsky wins his first world championship. He has been this place, Beachline, has been his favorite place in the world. He's a back-to-back Florida Carpet Championships. You see him just relief. This young man, Stuart Mason, was very good as well. Ali Payne congratulated him. There's Ishioaga. There's Hagberg, who comes up and gives him a thank you. Hagberg, so got to meet him. Hagberg was very much off pace at the beginning of this race.
Yeah,
he was the epitome of professional. There's Reinhardt. Him and Orlovsky are very good friends. They're sharing a room. Donnie Leah, who has the NYGP, he was impressive as well. Sam Isaacs, who won the Scotty race a couple of weeks before, he's very good. But Hagberg was one of the guys that impressed me as a true professional. He went from not doing well. He was in the beast or Jan Rathajski from Germany, who doesn't even race this class much. He was way off pace, like all week to qualify, like to about third round of qualifying almost. Like he was still, he was finishing third and all that type of stuff. Yes, there was an accident here that caused him that, but he was in the right position. He ended up finishing on the podium. I think he'd be obviously he wants to win, but I think he'll be happy with taking. There's Mashla, who's congratulating him as well. Coming to congratulate. That's Ollie Jeffers. No, something Jeffers. No,
it wasn't Payne.
No, that's not. I forget. He is actually the Spec world champion from last year.
I can't remember his name, but yeah, I think,
he didn't race. He was under there as a mechanic.
Yeah. So I think like Hagberg's like third was kind of like a very Cavalieri-esque drive where he kind of salvaged what he could and made it onto the podium. Reinhardt again, like he's just one of the most talented guys out there. Like when you give him a car and he just drives it. But I think now looking at like seeing all those people congratulate Michael here and him winning his first Worlds, like that must be a big moment for him because he's had such a year, such a big year this year, and like he's kind of same like Reinhardt and Goelho in a way where you don't really need to give him a lot of track time. You don't need to like give him to practice that much. You just give him a car that works, and he'll like take so much out of it. You know?
Yeah, I was happy for him. There's Mark Stiles. There's Mr. Bean, as I call him, James, who commentates for RC Racing TV. But yeah, Hagberg, man, I mean, Orlowski, just super congratulations to him, and he did well. Unfortunate for Kemp, he was so nonchalant about it afterwards. Kemp, he's just like, yeah, you know, blah blah blah, and I was just like, oh man, I was just devastated because for me, I wanted to see an epic A3 race, right?
Yeah.
I didn't really care who won it. I just wanted to see it be epic, and unfortunate that incident didn't happen. But not for Orlowski. He wins it. He has got his first world championship. Congratulations to him and Schumacher getting their second in a row. Once again, I want to say thank you to everybody that welcomed me there to that race. I know this is not my genre. I'm an off-road guy at heart, but I will say that I came out of this race with a great appreciation for 12 scale and on-road racing. And to everybody that showed me love and helped me around and just did it, and to all my teammates on the Elite, Gene, and everybody, I think we did a very good job of covering it. Congratulations to those guys, everybody involved. I mean, I was able to listen to the commentator of the RD, which was Jared, and I know this was a really big deal for him because he wanted to do this, and he did a great job, right? He did a great job. Like, everybody involved did a great job. And you know what? Even IFMAR, like you can see the new influence in them is getting better. They had Danny set up a camera on the finish line in case anything happened. I think they even used some camera evidence, like they went back and looked at stuff as well to make sure some things were good. So it's good to see progression. Well done to Kemp Anderson as well. That kid is a young man, but man, he was very fast. Max Mashler, shout out to you, man. New friend of him as well. Like, you know, met a new guy, new friend. Got to have him on this podcast. Met Mark Stiles, all the guys in Spec that I met, and just everybody that I met at this race. It was awesome. I enjoyed it. I had a blast, and it was really good to see. Yep. That was pretty much it, man. And I just wanted to show off something else I got at that race.
Oh, you got Alex's body? That's
cool. Man, these things are so light, Max. They're like,
yeah, it's crazy.
Paper thin. And they get so light that they don't, like, he was only one of the few guys that render painted jobs. Other guys just running one cans.
Yeah, that's unfortunate because like the painted bodies are a big deal in RC, you know, like I think manufacturers should require it more of drivers to actually run it. It makes it much more distinguishable.
Not only that, but on these platforms you can see the whole paint job, you know, like on a body and stuff, it's a smaller surface.
Yeah, it's like touring cars and fan cars, people like it's annoying to see like 10 white bodies running AMA, you know. Luckily it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. Yeah. But it's the worlds, you know. Yeah. At EOS or ETS, it's mostly just like green and blue and yellow bodies.
I will say this is a class that I will follow. I will follow this more. I'm hooked on the on-road stuff, and I love all things RC. And once again, go ahead.
I've been in love with this class since the beginning. I just never really it's not a popular class. So like I've never had a situation where I would have spent time in this class. But I've been loving it's like the cars are so simplistic, but it's still so high performance.
I know it's incredible.
Skill, the downforce, how they look, it's a great class. I love it.
Yeah, it was awesome. I once again I cannot reiterate thank you to that genre of RC for allowing me to come in, be a part of it. I hope you guys enjoyed what we did as well. I hope we did justice to your side of the hobby or the sport, and I hope to be at more of these type of races over the next couple of years. And I am a fan. I love RC racing, and I got introduced to a new genre. I'm super pumped about that. Thank you. But I will have a full recap with Hefty over the next couple of weeks when he has time. He's kind of busy as well. So thank you, everybody. And thank you to Beachline. Shout out to everybody. Shout out to Max Mashler, your 13-5 Spec champion, and the Polish Punisher, who's not going to have a holiday named after him, Mikhail Orlowski. What first of, I think, many world championships to come.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
And
he'll be one of those, Masami type character who has one in each class.
I think so. All right, Max. We kind of have gone 3 hours on this podcast. We are dropping another podcast to follow up on all my other travels and other news and silly season news. I think we're going to end it with this one. Thank you for your time, Max. I appreciate it. And it was a great conversation getting back with you. I want to say thank you to everybody out there that supports the podcast. Oh, I almost forgot. So you see this shirt? It's got a hamburger on it, right? I got this from JB Kathrakala. He's a 12-scale racer. He's a little taller than me, but he's fluffy like me. And I kept seeing this shirt and I was like, what does that hamburger on his shirt like mean? I just, it's his logo for his RC company. So we went up and we talked to him. We heard about it. And I said, hello, dude. I said, you're the only guy I know. Me and you are both fluffy. Let me get one of their shirts. Like he said, well, I only have the ones that I bought. I said, I'll wash it when I get home. So he gave me this hamburger shirt. I can't remember, but he does a lot of 3D printing. And this is his logo for his RC company. It's pretty cool. So it's pretty cool. I forgot all about it. Like I said, it'll be appropriate to wear it today. So thank you to JB. Thank you to everybody. Thank you to Alexander Hagberg for being a good friend. We it was great to meet you. And we will talk more about 12 scale at a later date, a full recap on this race. With that said, I want to say thank you to all of the NNRC members and NRC YouTube members and patrons around the world. Thank you for all your help. We can't do this without your support. Thank you to all of, if you wish to be a member or you wish to join and help out a little bit more, you can. Links for all of that are in a written description of this podcast. Shout out to all these companies that support the podcast, and we're looking for new ones going to 2024. You can find links, affiliate links, coupon codes, which is links for these companies in the written description of this podcast. It helps us out a lot. They are Invisible Speed, High Tech RC, Sun Pedal USA, Sidewinder Fuel, Hot Race Tires, Mayako, Beach RC, Techno RC, Clinic RC, Ignite Design RC, Stacked RC, Darlington RC, Racecraft USA. Shout out to the Florida RC Championships, Elite RC Productions, SJ Racing Builds, House of RC, RCGP, and of course our drivers, David Runderholt, Jared Tebow, Robert Battier, Alexander Heiberg, Matty G, Max, and Lefty. We are out. We will see you very shortly in episode number 264. With that said, we are out. See you later, Max. See you in a little bit.
Goodbye, guys.